This is the XNC Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and Mag, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, XNC Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox newscast. Welcome to the XNC Podcast. This is Colteastwood. I'm here with a special guest, the very famous and handsome, illustrious RGT85 from YouTube. 500,000 subscribers and kind of a nice guy, actually. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. It's been a while since, obviously we've known of each other, but we never really connected. So it's good to finally connect, man.
Yeah, it's a weird gaming circle where everybody kind of like is doing their own thing, talking about their own stuff, and not everybody crosses paths, but a few people are like, you two need to get on a show together, and I'm like, well, let's see what happens. So I'll just invite you, but welcome to the show. This is episode 167. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we're on YouTube Live. All that stuff is on demand with timestamps and all that nice stuff, all the quality of life features that make a podcast semi-digestible. But today we're going to talk about some leaks that's going on with Nintendo, some PlayStation stuff, and a bunch of Xbox stuff. But I want to kind of first start off as we let people roll in and talk about what we've been playing this past week to keep us entertained and keep us an actual gaming fan. What have you been doing?
So I've actually been playing because, I'm not the biggest football fan in the world. My sport is basketball, diehard Knicks fan, obviously, but I do like the Giants. And so I was hankering for some football, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing Madden 25. I got burned by 23. I got burned by 22. There has to be a better way. And my friend Stevie Richards actually had hit me up and was like, hey, do you know how to do the roster updates for NFL 2K5 to where it's the modern rosters? And I was like, no, but it can't be too hard. I'll look into it and let you know. So I ended up going down this rabbit hole. And then by the time I finally figured out what I had to do, which was essentially change the memory card in the emulator to one that had the roster on it, but you kind of had to download a program on the computer, I was like, well, I want to play some of this and see how it holds up. And holy crap, that game is still amazing. I'm already in a franchise mode with it, playing with the Giants. Yes, it still holds up so well. Like so well. I was shocked. Just even the animations. I mean, yes, there is some wonky stuff here and there, but like
even on the current ones.
Yeah, when you throw a pass into coverage, there's a good chance it's going to get picked off. There's not like the weird just batting the ball down and stuff like that. Like it just flows so much better than the modern Maddens do. And I was like, yeah, we're playing this. So NFL 2K5, and I actually downloaded a PS2 game today that I had never played before called Ghost Hunter that I've been kind of dabbling with. I don't think I like it, but I'm going to play a little bit more to see. It's just like a weird third person shooter game with like ghost mechanics. I don't know. I thought it was more going to be survival horror-y. It's a Namco game.
It's like a wannabe Resident Evil thing or what?
No,
I've
it's
never heard of it.
paced. Like you have an actual like gun that has like silver bullets, I think, that you shoot the ghosts with. Like it seems okay, but I don't think it was what I was like super like wanting to play right now. Obviously we're getting into the spooky season, so I'm gonna fire up some of those games, but it's all right. It still looks pretty decent when you're running it on the emulator because everything's upscaled, but like the dialogue and the story is really cheesy. It's like a very early 2000s guy with like spiky hair and like the puka shell necklace and like the carpenter jeans and stuff.
Hey. That was me in 98. Watch it. That was totally me. Yeah, when I had hair, it was a little bit spiky, and I looked like I was lead singer Sugar Ray back then.
There you go. That's exactly what this dude looked like.
Oh, it's awesome. So you're emulating these on PC? And
I'm actually using the ROG Ally.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. I have my ROG Ally is I play PS2 upscaled on there, PS3 games on there. Like that is my go-to. That is my favorite handheld.
Have you made a video on how to get that up and running on your channel?
I've done I did PS3. I don't know if I've done a PS2 one. Maybe I will. They've made it a lot. Oh no, I did, because they did a big update to the emulator recently. That I think I did a video on that. And I've done Switch. The Switch one was actually my first 1 million view video showing how to emulate Switch games on your PC, because
Nice.
I don't care. It's what, I'm not showing anything illegal. So that was cool.
Nintendo's
But
like,
yeah.
right
Oh
now.
no, I've had a run-in with their legal department.
Oh,
Yeah, with
yeah.
Metroid Dread. I ended up getting an early copy of Metroid Dread, and just from like a local retailer, a small mom and pop place. I waited for the embargo to lift, because I asked a couple friends. I was like, "When's the embargo lift?" And they told me about it. And so I waited for it to lift. I actually waited like, I think it was like 6 or 7 hours, and then I put my video out. And then all of a sudden, Nintendo was trying to strike the video, and I'm like, "What?" And so I looked into it, and they were trying to strike the video because I wasn't supposed to have access to the game already. They sent me an email from their legal department. But
Jeez.
strangely enough, YouTube sided with me, and they were like, "No, he didn't do anything wrong." And they told Nintendo to piss off. And I was like, "Wow, that's crazy."
That's weird. There's been like a whole conversation about YouTube and strikes today with content creators. You got these salt farmer people who cover other people's videos, and I'm pretty happy that you and I make all kinds of videos about games and consoles and all that stuff. And then there's people out here who make videos about people who make videos about people who talk about the videos that talk about games. But it's funny that you say you're playing these old games, because I was playing Ghost of Tsushima a lot. I picked up my old save where I'm like 80% done. And I was running around the world and just kind of enjoying how great that game is. So I'm excited about another samurai game coming that people aren't all that excited about. But I also loaded up. You know what I'm talking about? Like if we get into it, people.
I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check it out.
I am too.
If it, to me, it's like, if the game is fun, whatever. Like that's all. If the game is jank and crappy, like, did you play Outlaws, Star Wars Outlaws?
Mm-hmm. Hey, yeah. Everybody thinks I would defend Ubisoft, but they definitely have a dividing line where there's stuff that they don't do right, and then there's stuff that I think they do pretty well. And I think their Assassin's Creed games are pretty good. I'm a big fan of them. So
yeah, like there's never really been an Assassin's Creed game that is like terrible or even just boring. So I'm willing to give it a shot. Now I know there's all the controversy stuff, and you could go into all that. I just try to look at it as an actual game, as an actual experience. But I also think, if people want to bring up talking points, they can. That's what it is at the end of the day.
As long as they're halfway nice. I did a video a couple weeks ago about it, and the comments, instead of saying I don't support that because they don't honor the culture or accuracy like that would be a fine argument, but it also came with insults and angry language. But I definitely am not probably going to learn a lot of accurate culture from Assassin's Creed Shadows. But I hope it is a really fun game. I hope it's good. And typically their games are pretty beautiful and fun, but you have to like that sort of thing. But so I was playing Tsushima, but when you talk about old games and jank, I load up the classic Grand Theft Auto 4 on PC, and it launched at 4K 120. And I get into the game, and all the characters look like I started with the Lost in the Dam, the biker DLC. I don't know if you played it back in the day. Fantastic.
I remember it.
Right?
Yeah.
And all the characters, they look like if Barbie was in a biker gang. Like they're like, "Come on, Johnny!" and it's and I was like, I wanted to love it because I did so much. And then I realized that game's 17, 18 years old at this point. So yeah, it's pretty. I think there's that like uncanny valley spot that we've finally gotten out of, maybe. But yeah, I guess there's a rough spot there. But that's what I've been doing. Tsushima and a little bit of Grand Theft Auto 4. But I don't know if I'll stick with Grand Theft Auto. It's too dusty.
It is. So. It is. You gotta. That's a very rose-tinted glasses game. Like, the older ones, even if I think you could play the vanilla older ones and still have fun with it because that era of nostalgia is popular. But like that earlier PS3 stuff, like some of those games have just, they haven't aged very well. Now, in 10 years from now, we could be singing their graces and be like, oh, this is amazing. But, there is sort of a barrier with some nostalgic games, like Alpha Protocol. Did you ever play Alpha Protocol?
I bought it on PC about 2 months ago, and it was hard. I never got to play it. It was always one of those. Sorry, you go ahead and say what you're saying. Then
no, you're good. Because like back in the day, I played that game and I loved it, and I wanted to check it out again. And I downloaded it on PS3, and I was playing it, and like just the whole unlocking puzzle mechanic thing. Like in the tutorial, I'm like, I'm giving this one more try, and then we are done here. And then I messed up again. I was like, that's it. I'm done. Like I don't want to play this again. It's like, how did I do this? Like I distinctly remember playing this game and enjoying it, but
Alpha Protocol was right in that point in that period of gaming when the way cameras and characters controlled was about to make its evolution into what we know now. Like you can get into cover, or you can get in and out of aiming and interact with the world with mostly the same button pushes. And I loaded up Alpha Protocol on PC, cranked it up as high as I could get it to look as nice as it could. It looked so dated. Obsidian Entertainment made it. I always heard it was like, hey, if you like Mass Effect and Deus Ex, like you'll probably like this. And it was so old and dated that I had this look on my face like, ugh, when I was playing it. I wanted to love it so much, but
yeah, there's some really cool stuff that in the game, but it's also very kind of open-ended. Like you don't have to do all the cool stuff. And I think for a lot of people that played it, they probably never did the cool stuff in it to make it feel kind of different.
Yeah. So yeah, those old games, that's the rough thing. Like I'm going to check out your videos about how to emulate on the ROG Ally, because I'd like to try that, because sometimes I try to play modern games on there and I feel like there's just a little bit of disconnect. But I go back and play classics. Just to let everybody know what we're talking about, we got RGT85 here, and we're going to talk about some of the news that's going on this week. And he said before the show went up, he's like, hey, it's a good news week. And so I said, it is? All right, we'll see what we're talking about. We'll throw this one in first because it kind of comes along with what you were talking about early on. Earlier this week, Nintendo sued Palworld after, they just kind of sat in the wings and waited until they made millions of dollars on Palworld, and now they're ready to pounce with a patent infringement would be the accurate description of what it was. I liked Palworld a lot. I've never played the games that it copies, so I just kind of got to experience that game and enjoyed it. But what's your take on what's going on with Palworld and Nintendo?
My thing is, if it was you jacked our characters, okay, that's one thing. You jacked our storyline, this, that, or the other, whatever. That's a separate thing. When we're talking about patenting game mechanics, that is a very, very slippery slope that I do not want to go down, and I don't want that to be a thing, because then what's to stop anyone from patenting the most basic thing and then being like, oh, you infringed upon our thing. That's our thing. That's our patent now. Like if this was an old patent, like, okay, maybe, but like, what is that? That's kind of one of the holdups is, well, what was actually infringed upon? Some people are saying that it's the ball mechanic,
very
using
unique,
to catch something in a field that was allegedly done with Pokemon Legends Arceus. And that game's from 2021. So this isn't something, what if that game was in development before then? It's something like it's not a good thing for the industry. And the problem is Palworld has like 0% chance of winning, because what's going to end up happening is Nintendo's got that FU money. They don't care. They'll just spend whatever it takes to stifle you, and then they'll make you pay for the losses. Like people always, it always becomes this thing when it's individual or small company versus the big company, where people gas up the small company like, yeah, you could do this. And in reality, no, you can't. No, you can't, because the big company is going to bleed you dry, and it's going to set a very not good precedent going forward.
Yikes. You're saying that the ball mechanic is only a few years old. I mean, throwing the ball at the creatures, is that like a newer patent that they finally put in, or what?
No, they've started recently doing patents on gameplay things. That's how we learned about a lot of mechanics from Tears of the Kingdom before we actually saw the game.
Okay.
Because one of the patents that came out before they really did an unveiling of it was Link diving straight down
Mm-hmm.
in a trajectory and then being able to use a bow and arrow in it. That's an actual mechanic. So no game that ever comes out can have a character dive straight down and then is it a bow and arrow only, or is it any type of weapon? I don't know.
They're like,
you know,
let's take a look. No?
yeah, like it's very not good. Like this is not it, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna stifle creativity. What if I make a game and it's like, oh well, if there's 10 cars on a track, that's my patent now. And so with the death of racing games, you know, like I don't get it. I don't, and I'm hopeful that it's something else. That's like I said, that's just what people are theorizing as far as what it could potentially be. I hope it's not that. And I do hope that we do learn what it is. And because there is the off chance that they settle out of court and that's that. We never hear anything about it again.
I mean, it could chew into a chunk of the money they were able to make with having like lightning in a bottle hit with Palworld. But some of the things that you and I said in the beginning of the show referenced many times. Is this game kind of like that mixed with that? Does it do that this game does? And if Nintendo wants to put patents on things, like our favorite games are a mix of 2 or 3 of our favorite games. Right. So yeah, I would hate to see that. And it would stifle creativity. It would also stifle the industry. This immediately comes to mind. Why? Okay, so Gotham. I was talking to my friend today about Gotham Knights. Shout out to Dealer Gaming. Talked to him today about he didn't like Gotham Knights. He likes the Batman games. We all do. But I'm like, why isn't there a Ninja Turtles mature third-person like open city game where you play as one of the Ninja Turtles, or you could play it in co-op and you beat up like Batman. You have the counter punching and all that stuff. Just rip off a lot of what we love about Batman Arkham and make a Ninja Turtles game. But then we were talking about you can't just copy other games, but we would love something like that, I would think, as fans.
You don't have to copy it, but you can mimic it. Like, you know, I mean, think about, and that's a whole nother thing, because you used to have, when a game was really hot, you used to have a bunch of, I wouldn't say clones, but games that were clearly inspired by it. Think about when, you know, GTA 3 popped off. You had True Crime come along. You had Narc come along. Obviously, some of these games were better than others, but you had a lot of people trying to cash in on this craze of you know, an urban, gritty, you know,
open
sometimes
sandbox.
open world, you know, sometimes open sandbox, sometimes just open area thing. But you had a lot of companies trying to capitalize on that, and it was fun. You had a lot of choice. You had a lot of variety. Where are those games nowadays? You don't have those games nowadays. And obviously that's because of budgets and stuff like that, which is a whole nother problem. But, you know, you know, some fun memories can be made from games that are similar to other games. I would rather have a bunch of games that are similar to each other and have choice than only have one game and have no choice. Like it's sports games, modern sports games.
Yeah.
You got NBA 2K. You've got Madden. That's all you got. You don't have NBA Live, NBA Shootout, NBA
NFL Blitz.
NFL Blitz, NFL 2K. You know,
I want a baseball game that's like Blitz. I want a really exaggerated baseball game. Yeah. You nailed it. I love this. I always say this too. Where are the sandbox games this past decade? They're not there.
They're not there.
I remember Just Cause 2 was like peak sandbox for me. Hooking up a propane tank and shooting it and like all the stuff you could do. And I felt like this is so amazing. Like everything's coming together in video gaming and you don't get an open world sandbox game anymore. It's such a bummer. Yeah. Will Broke Boy Lewis, I missed his super chat last week. He says, let's be real. Sugar is the Xbox Series S's fault. Yeah, Xbox Series S has problems. I did a video today and called out some of the problems that were going on this past generation, and Series S is causing its own issues for sure. As Amish AI, I think, or Amish Al, thank you so much for the NOK20. Says, first time I can watch XNC live on vacation in the USA. Cool. Where are you at? That's great. Thanks for being here. That's Norwegian money. They call it krone. I need to go there. Red Wolf, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, What if a company patents standing characters?
Like, it's kind of a thing where certain things are deemed unpatentable. And I almost feel like Nintendo is trying to find the things that are deemed that and then just find one thing kind of below it. And they're like, oh, we can make a patent on this. This is pretty similar. Like, I don't know, man. It's bizarre to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just you're right. Nintendo has the big money and they're just going to cause problems. Let's talk about Nintendo for a second. I don't know how I don't think of this as super exciting news, but the Switch 2 is leaked so far that a Japanese YouTuber, she 3D printed the mock-up of the Switch 2, and it's like about as big or bigger than the ROG Ally. It's got an 8-inch screen instead of 7-inch screen, which is a diagonal difference. It's pretty big. It's still thin, still looks the same. I don't know. You like the Nintendo Switch. What do you have to say about this thing?
I don't think that that's painting an accurate picture.
Okay.
I think the specs that we've heard for it are probably in line with what it's going to be, maybe give or take a few things. But as far as the design is concerned, I'm not 100% sure that it's going to just look as, that similar to it. And they could do that. But this is also Nintendo, who usually doesn't do things like that. And there's still lots of,
right.
Because like even when you look at the leak itself that had all the specs on it, that was supposedly 100% accurate or something like that. It never mentioned the screen in the leaks. It never mentioned the resolution, the manufacturer, the size of it. It didn't say anything about the screen. And I was kind of like, well, that's a little weird. You would think that would be a part of it. It I don't like to be mean to people who only talk about Nintendo stuff, but sometimes you have to. It's just every single thing that comes out of Reset Era or Family boards, it's an instant video. And that's how a lot of this stuff got started, was because last week you had alleged people that were Chinese factory workers that ended up getting exposed that were not Chinese factory workers. They were just dudes in America, saying things and, saying the presentation was coming and all this sort of stuff. And it's just, I won't say it's just Nintendo that's dry right now. Gaming is kind of in that little bit of a lull as we get into the holiday season. So people are looking for anything to talk about. But I think spec wise, what we heard from it is probably going to line up with what the system is. It's kind of contingent on that DLSS. What is that DLSS able to do for the games? Because you've seen it take low end games or low end machines and make it run like so much better and look so much better. So, it's really going to be a wait and see sort of thing with it. I just, the design thing and the 3D printing and stuff, that seems like a little bit much for me.
You make a good point when we think about the Nintendo consoles. They're all different. They're all a totally different design as I think back. I guess I never really thought of that I couldn't imagine the Switch 2 being identical but bigger. Yeah, I just kind of took it at face value.
I think there's going to be some sort of differentiating visible feature, especially in like a handheld mode. And, whatever that is, I don't know, because I don't think anyone really knows. But there's obviously something happening with the system. Developers of different sizes are at least privy to it. Some are actually working on stuff with it. There's been, leaks out of last year's GDC that it was running very graphically intensive things, such as the Matrix demo. So,
oh, wow.
It'll be, and like that, because that was supposedly a behind closed doors presentation where they had Breath of the Wild at 4K 60 and the Matrix demo. And to me, the Matrix demo is way more interesting because I still think that's the most gorgeous looking thing that we've seen in this generation. Obviously, it was a very curated area of what you could do and all that sort of stuff. But, if it's able to run that, then, does the raw power necessarily even matter? But I think October is when we're going to see this thing. And I've thought October for a very long time, but everyone banked on September, and now
that could be right around the corner then.
Yeah, because last week it was supposed to happen, and I honestly knew it was not going to happen. I was still team October, And then this week they have, Echoes of Wisdom coming out. So you're going to talk about a new system when you're trying to promote the game? That really doesn't make sense. And plus, there's Tokyo Game Show. So, yeah, I think October, sometime in the month, maybe the middle of the month, you'll probably finally see this. And then we'll get into that whole madness of the situation.
And then it's going to actually, bowl over the entire games industry. It will be sold out for probably a year, and it'll be. I think it's the shot in the arm this generation needs is for Nintendo to finally bring their Gen 9 console. I talked a lot about how this console generation has been a disaster for PlayStation and Xbox in a lot of different ways, layoffs and price hikes and subscription changes and hardware performance issues and so much stuff. And even multi-platform games have come out so undercooked or under-delivering, that sort of thing. People always say, Nintendo Switch is doing fine. I'm like, well, they're technically still a Generation 8 console, and they're about to just do their own thing yet again. So we were talking, it's such a great segue. We were talking about the Batman Arkham. The reason why I thought of the Batman Arkham game was Special Nick from Xbox Era. I don't know if you've talked to this guy much. That slime ball.
I did his show. When they hit some milestone for their live show, he had me come on. I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, I was probably in there after you were or something. When they hit their 200 or something.
Hey,
who cares? You did 200 shows, big deal. Nobody cares. No, we like those guys.
Rookie number.
Come see me and you've hit 1,000 shows. I'm on 167. Batman Arkham. Rocksteady wants to make another game, and by rights they should, because I hated Suicide Squad. Normally, in a game like that, I would have said, hey, because I even liked the Avengers game. When I just did the campaign at all alone, I liked it. And then when Suicide Squad? Yeah, there you go. That's how you talk. When that game came out, I played the demo, the early access or whatever, like the preview from them. And then when I tried to play it with a friend afterwards, I was like, I can't do it. I mean,
it's the game nobody asked for. Like, you're known for something. I don't go to a pizza place to get a hamburger. I'm going for the pizza. I'm going for the Batman, not some
it's
weird.
It's the Mexican restaurant to get the hamburger. That would be the one you want to say. Yeah,
okay.
They have a terrible hamburger over there.
Like, I'm here for a reason, and you know why I'm here. And because you even tried to like tease it a little bit in the trailers, you know why I am here, but you are making something that I do not want. And of course, nobody wanted it. And what ended up happening with it? That's the toxic positivity thing. Like, you don't know how happy it made me to see actual people, especially Kotaku, because obviously I don't have the best relationship with them.
They're very unhappy people.
To see one of their editors say that toxic positivity within the studio is why Concord is one of the reasons Concord failed. I felt so vindicated, because I'm like, yes, you can't be positive all the time, because that's what's leading to games coming out and being crappy, because nobody's sitting there saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this. Maybe this isn't the best idea. Maybe we should change this. It's so crazy. But, to get it back on topic, I love I'll be honest, Arkham Knight didn't really hit with me. But
yeah, it's not the bet. It's definitely not. Okay, thank you.
My favorite is, I know everyone loves, Asylum's the best. No, City is the best.
Yep.
City is god tier.
Asylum's so good, but City just has it all.
Because you're out in the open, you're flying, you're rappelling around.
Did you play the DLC too, like the Harley Quinn stuff? Yeah, fantastic.
Yes. And then, I didn't even hate Origins or whatever, but yeah, like that's a game that is needed, wanted, and is a proven commodity. So I am all for it.
I can't wait
for it. That's something, companies, you gotta teach them. You gotta teach somewhere along the way. These companies, and I don't know when it happened. I feel like there's a definitive timestamp that we need to look into history and figure this out. But somewhere along the way, companies decided that they were going to dictate what we wanted, what people wanted to play. And they're learning very quickly, especially in 2024. Hey, pal, that's not the case. Okay. That is not the case. And you're going to learn with Suicide Squad, with potentially Star Wars Outlaw sales, because you haven't heard a peep out of that. You would think a Star Wars game, big budget, biggest marketing budget ever. You would think you'd hear some information about that. You would think you would hear some information about the first quadruple A game,
When you don't,
Skull
you
and
know.
Bones.
Oh,
And
jeez.
when you don't hear a word, there's a reason for it. And when we hear a word and it's, hey, we're taking this game down after 2 weeks, after $400 million, you gotta sometimes, get the crust out of your eye and realize, hey, this is a consumer driven market. The consumer dictates what we should be making. The consumer dictates, and you could have your passion projects. I'm not saying that you can't have passion projects, smaller things.
Xbox will do those.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
But don't expect this to reach a mass market. Don't expect it to be, you might get lucky and some Twitch streamer that has a large following will maybe stream it and then you get sales from that. But there's more cases of it not happening than there are of it happening. So you gotta, and that's really an industry problem related anyways. But back to the topic at hand, I would love a new Batman. What do you do with the voice, though? Do you get an imitator, or do you go in a new direction?
You got to have Kevin Conroy, but at least he got a fitting send off. He's amazing. Yeah. You'd have to get somebody that can just embody that voice the way that he did. Maybe not someone that sounds like him, but I think really our concerns are, if anybody's here watch the show, hit the like button if you're having a good time. We're trying to have a good time too. The worry is is that blood and Rocksteady still there? Have all those people come and gone? Our favorite games that we talked about, mostly through the show, our favorite games were made 10 years ago. And I mean, I don't know how many people stay at a studio for 10 years, let alone are the ones making the decisions. So,
well, didn't the two studio heads leave?
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, you could always try to emulate the older games and at least use them as a blueprint. But do I trust Rocksteady to do that right now? Not really.
No.
This is a situation where you could announce the game, but I need to see the game. Although who's working on, because the MetaQuest VR Batman Arkham game, that looks good. Like, I am buying a MetaQuest VR to play that because I am an idiot who bought a PSVR 2 thinking that the future of VR was going to be on there. Oh boy, I might as well have just burned some money with that. But I'm
to see who's making that.
I am 100% buying that because that has the look, the feel, the styling. Like, that looks great. And if there's a company that's out there doing that, then we need to be checking in with them.
I'm looking it up. I'm trying to find where the studio. I thought I saw a word that said Ghibli Studios or something. Studio I don't know. When you talk about how the industry is dictating what we're going to like, it's so obvious when they show games like Star Wars Outlaws or Suicide Squad or Concord. Don't they have all the information and metadata at their immediate disposal because they see the dislikes on YouTube? They can look at them. And I feel like when we first saw Suicide Squad, like, I don't know, two and a half years ago, the resounding answer from the gaming world was like, no, we're good, right? And then Star Wars Outlaws kind of had this, I think mostly everybody's like, what is this? This isn't what we wanted. We wanted something grittier or better. And people, these studios just continue to just push their way through like, no, it's fine. They're going to buy it. And I think people in this community that we talk about, they're watching stuff, they're downvoting, they're talking on social media, and they're telling their friends, and everyone comes to the conclusion, I'm not playing Star Wars Outlaws. I'm not buying that. And then low sales.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's what it is. They think there's a definite disconnect with a lot of people in the video game industry to the actual people who consume them. And they try to make something that's going to appeal to a market that they want to exist. And then they're surprised when nobody buys it because the market they want to exist doesn't exist yet. I'm not gatekeeping games. I think everyone should be able to play and enjoy games. But you have to realize if you're trying to pander to a certain, that would be like making a football game and being like, basketball fans are going to buy this. And then when basketball fans don't buy it, you're like, well, why didn't basketball fans buy this? This was a game for them as well. Like, you have to know your demographics. You have to know your audience. You have to know all this sort of stuff. And, you know, part of the problem is I also feel, which I always catch heat for, but I also feel that there's a lot of friendships with journalists and these companies, and they go and they preview the game and they love the game, and then everyone loves the game. You see it sometimes with smaller games that don't have like a big name attached to them, like that what was it, Unknown District 9 game that a lot of people are talking about. Like, some of the previews were like, you know, it's a little shaky. But you never really tend to see that with bigger AAA games. Is it because they don't want to ruin a friendship? Is it because they don't want to ruin a relationship with the studio? Who knows? But what it boils down to is everyone around them in their immediate circle, the people in the office, the people that are working on the game, and then the select members of the press that go and then play the game. Everyone's saying it's great, it's great, it's great, it's great. And then it's not great. And then it's just a rinse and repeat cycle. They do it again and again and again. And, you know, they're trying to have a different result, but you're doing the same thing over and over again. Star Wars is one of the easiest things in the world to make decent. But Star Wars
it's
wants
also the
easiest
thing to mess up too.
Exactly, because they want different audiences, and they want different people to enjoy it. And like, different people enjoy Star Wars. It doesn't have to be catered to a certain demographic of people just because you want those people to really love it. Those people probably already love it. It's not like you're going to make something Star Wars related, and then all of a sudden someone who's always hated Star Wars is like, oh, wow, this game is looking like it's targeting me. Now I'm the biggest fan in the world. It's like, that's not how the world works, man. Like, there's a lot of just crazy.
I'm not really a Star Wars fan anymore. I feel like I always tell myself this. Like, I don't think I like Star Wars, but The Mandalorian didn't go out on any weird limbs. I think it just made a great story with, you know, 3 lovable characters, really, the main people. It was a great series. I don't know. I think they really screwed up with Star Wars Outlaws, and I don't know why. It was a tough conversation, but last week I had Stuttering Craig, the Screw Attack pioneer and Side Scrollers podcast. This guy's so awesome, and we dabbled in the some of the DEI stuff, and he really is. He gives a speech about why are you catering to such a small percentage when the masses in the world, all the people who want to throw their money at the next thing you make, are saying, please make it this way. We're hearing that Mass Effect 5, we like to call it Mass Effect 5. The next Mass Effect is really supposed to hearken into what made the trilogy so great. The team is trying to do that because they tried to go out on a long limb with Andromeda. And I got to ask you about Dragon Age Veilguard, because there's so much hate early on, and it seems like right now those journalists that you're talking about, they're all buddy, are really genuinely excited and satisfied with Veilguard. What's your gauge on it from where you're sitting?
I mean, it was the same people that were excited for Outlaws and Concord and all that sort of stuff. Like, maybe y'all are the ones with the disconnect. No, me personally, I've never played a Dragon Age game. I've seen a lot of people upset about the, I guess, post-surgery scar thing. To me, it's kind of like, you know, someone I watch, Weapon Wheel podcast, actually made an interesting point. They were like, well, we don't really care about that, but you can't like make any of the characters like have a posterior that looks like a human one. Like, everyone's butt looks very flat. And even if you have the slider all the way up, and, you know, so if you want to do inclusion of something like that, like, you should probably have it so that people can have fat butts in the game.
You should include it for the guys that, you know, I have a big butt.
You know, to me, it's kind of, I think the box art is way more hideous than anything else that they've done. Like, that box art looks absolutely atrocious. I don't know. I'm not a big Dragon Age guy. Like I said, I've never played any of the games. Really, you're gonna have armor on anyways, so it's like I guess maybe you get that 2 seconds of, oh look, this is something that's inclusive for everyone, and then you put the armor on and you never see it again. So it just there's nothing wrong with options.
And it's gone.
There's nothing wrong with options, but it shouldn't be like a focus. It shouldn't be like the main, like, look at this, look at this, look at this. It's like, no, it should be the gameplay. Some of my favorite characters of video game lore are some of the most strange characters in the world. Look at the cast of Metal Gear Solid. You got every type of person out there. Look at Vamp. I love Vamp. Vamp is a Romanian vampire who's bisexual. He's cool as hell. Like, I love him. Like, because his character is good. It's not because of who he is or who he identifies as. It's because his character is good. And I think the average person, there's always people that are going to be like, oh, everything is pandering. Everything is pandering. As long as the character is well written, sex, race, religion, political orientation, gender, whatever the case is, most people won't care. They just want good written characters, and they seem to be just focusing on everything but writing a good character and making a good game.
I mean, there are definitely content creators who cover just they laser focus in on like some of those choices.
I would drive myself nuts with that. Like, I don't know how they do it. And you know what? Some of them are getting crazy views and crazy money, and I'm just like,
that's anger money. My good friend Red Wolf, he has a small startup channel on YouTube, and he's covered the Dragon Age stuff, and he's played all the games. I've only dabbled in them like you. I've only kind of messed around and said, do I like this? But he said he was wrong. Like, he realized a lot of those quirky or different characters or choices were always in the series. It's not really new, but it really gets magnified. But we could sidestep that for a second. I got to ask you, like, do you think the game looks like you'd want to play it? Because it's impressing. Some people are like, hey, it looks like the combat looks really satisfying. Do you think this game's going to take off?
No, just because it's not a game that I'm super interested in. I'm not familiar with the previous ones. It looks fine, but there's other stuff that I personally would rather play than something like that. Maybe, if it goes on PlayStation Plus or Game Pass or something, then I might check it out. But no, it's just not my genre of game that I'm really interested in. Like, it does look pretty interesting, but
Okay. Do you think it'll do well?
That's the $1 million question. I think it really boils down to if the game is good or not. And I know that's a crazy thing to say in 2024, but like, if the game is good, I think people can look past any sort of issues that they may have with some stuff, and obviously that also scales depending on how good it is, how much stuff that, people who might have wrote the game off initially were like, well, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But if the game, and especially, I think what they really need to nail is the launch of this game. I think if it's buggy at launch, that's a death sentence right now.
Sure.
That is a death sentence for that game, because these games that are being, looked at with a skeptical lens, if they don't come out firing on all cylinders, people will drop it in an instant.
Yeah, I mean, that really speaks to what I was talking about today on my video, that you can't afford to have a game unfinished or undercooked, because it's not just that we don't like that. We've been barraged with undercooked, underdelivered, not finished games, and people are really, really getting fed up with how some people are making decisions to just push stuff out the door. Avowed is a game that I was really excited to play, and I think they pushed it out to next year because it was going to launch next to Dragon Age Veilguard and maybe Assassin's Creed. Those two games might have buried Avowed and not given its proper due, though it's not really a big game. I want to ask you about this supposed problem. I think this has become a problem, but there are rumors right now for PlayStation that Horizon Zero Dawn is getting a remaster.
That's
And
not a rumor. That's Horizon is 100% happening because the ESRB is not going to mess that up.
Okay, that's ESRB, but the other one
Yeah.
is Days Gone, a game I like a lot, but it is 4 years old, 5 years old. And PlayStation has this propensity to take their games you just played 5 years ago or 3 years ago and remaster them and resell them to you. Maybe they'll be sold as an upgrade path. I don't know if they'll still do the upgrade path, but is this a problem with PlayStation? It seems like they are really stalling until their first party studios are ready to show new games.
Yeah, I think so. Because I mean, they even, went on record earlier this year. Don't really expect anything big to start happening till April. So you've already shot this state of play that's happening tomorrow in the foot. I do think Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered will be there. Upgrade path is going to be very interesting because this is a game that sold a lot. And I know you could say the same thing with the Last of Us situation. But if I could get a $10 upgrade, why wouldn't I just go on eBay and buy the game for $10 or go to my GameStop and buy the game for $10 and then do a $10 upgrade instead of spending? Because, it's going to be $60 probably.
Mm-hmm.
Who would buy it for $60? Like I
don't you already own it, physical or digital at this point? I mean, I have it. I have it digital on my PS5.
Yeah. Same thing with Days Gone. Days Gone, you're going to even have more of a problem because, there's that whole thing of, was it Ben Studio that didn't want to do the sequel? Was it Sony who didn't want them to do the sequel? Yeah, I tend to believe that it was Sony who didn't want to do that, but there was some reports out there that it was Ben. I don't think that's the case. But
the creative at Ben Studio was really mad that they sold like 11 million copies, or at least 8 million. I can't remember what the number was. And he's like, that's not a failed franchise. Yeah. I don't know why Days Gone got like a 72 or something, or 74. It was a pretty good game.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Fun. There might have been some zombie fatigue with it, maybe, but
too many zombies.
It was just, that kind of came out at the tail end of the everything is zombie cycle of gaming, I thought. But once again, these are PlayStation 4 games that are already enhanced when you play them on PlayStation 5. No upgrade needed. The alleged thing that's happening with Horizon Zero Dawn is they're going to be using assets and textures and probably the character model from Forbidden West in this game, and that's going to be the reason that people will want to get it. Like, I have no problem with remakes and remasters, but I take them on a case-by-case basis. If it's something from the Xbox 360 or back era, fine, don't care, as long as it's decently priced, looks good, and plays good. The only exception I have right now with any sort of remaster that's coming out is Donkey Kong Country Returns HD that's coming out on the Switch next year for $60. It is an HD version of a Wii game. Nobody should buy it unless they add in content, and I don't think they're adding in content. Do not support that game. I'm not telling you how to spend your money. I'm telling you what to not spend your money on, because that's ridiculous.
Aren't people going to just climb over you and buy that game anyway?
Oh yeah, it'll sell 3 million somehow. But when we're talking about last generation games, and really to me, it's like remakes and remasters, start of a system's life cycle, end of a system's life cycle. When I'm in the middle, when the food is supposed to be good and the eating is supposed to be good, and you're just giving me remakes and remasters, it's like, well, what have you been doing this whole time?
They're microwaving is what they're doing, because it's a unique situation, because when you got a PS4 or an Xbox One, you were cut off from your old games. There was no back compat. And right now, I have Days Gone and Horizon Zero Dawn on my PS5, and it automatically gets the 60 FPS treatment, gets the PS4 Pro treatment. So you get, essentially, you're getting 1800p, 3/4 of 4K at 60 FPS with the DualSense 5. There is no reason to hold us over with remasters of those games, but I think it's a stall tactic because, like you said, they said we don't have anything to show until spring 2025, and then the Hiroki Totoki or Herman Hulst said we don't have enough IP to do a showcase, new IP or ready IP.
I think it was Toki.
Yeah.
Because Herman Hulst has been awfully quiet since he said that Concord was the future of PlayStation and bought that poor studio. But hey, you know what? They do have one game that might be there from someone that I admire.
At State of Play.
Yeah, I don't admire them necessarily because of their work, because really when you look at it, they haven't done anything in nearly 15 years. But I admire them because somehow, some way, they have swindled paychecks out of multiple companies. And that person is good old Jade Raymond with Fair Games. You have not done anything in like 15 years, but you got a big ass check from Google and now you're getting one from Sony. Get that money, girl. You are an inspiration to me.
You think we're actually going to see in-engine showing of Fair Game tomorrow?
It'll be a little teaser thing. I think.
Well, we've already seen the pre-rendered crap, but
I think Death Stranding 2 is the one.
Oh yeah.
Like game that will probably be there because it's a good lead in to Tokyo Game Show for them. I'm expecting just a lot of third-party stuff. And that, to be fair, that is one thing that Sony has leveraged very well this generation are third-party games, either timed exclusives or marketing exclusives or stuff like that. I think they've done a very good job of this with this generation, but it was more so out of the need to do it because it's like, well, if we don't have that, what do we really have to show off?
Right. Yeah. Anything else from State of Play? It's going to be, what is it, tomorrow night for us here in the States? Or tomorrow morning?
It's 6 p.m. Eastern. So,
okay.
I think they said there's 20 games, 30 minutes long. There's going to be PSVR 2 stuff there. Nothing good, of course. I pray that they announce freaking Batman for it. They somehow just shelled out the money as like a thank you to the PSVR 2 owners who have been screwed because they're not making any first party stuff for the stupid thing. So like there's 4 games right there that are probably going to be PSVR 2. Then you're going to have a couple artsy fartsy games because every presentation has to have some of those. And then, you'll probably have
No Infinity Nikki reveal.
God. Oh man,
that game is so big. I was at PAX in Seattle, and they had like this gigantic castle in the middle of the show floor. And
because it's that China money, baby. They just print that. They can do whatever they want. Like,
whoa, Infinity Nikki. Yeah,
yeah. I'm pretty sure they stole some Breath of the Wild assets for that game, but hey, China's a different world. You're gonna go out there copyright in China? How do you think I have all these beautiful emulation devices from the good old land of China? Because there's no copyright laws there. I think it's gonna be disappointing for a lot of people. I've already seen people online saying that there's going to be another presentation in December that's gonna be the real big one, and I'm like, didn't we do this last year?
Yeah, they did that last year.
The crappy State of Play, and then
everybody got burned. Yep. Yeah.
Oh.
It is interesting that PlayStation hasn't had a big showcase in a long time, but I think they really are on a 2-year stall tactic. They were just ahead of Xbox a couple years, and Xbox really got hit hard during the pandemic, and it hurt them right away, and it was awful. And someone who covers Xbox for a long time, it was pretty awful. Like 2023 is our year, or 2022 is our year, and all these games got delayed. What Xbox game is going to be shown at the State of Play tomorrow that's getting ported to PlayStation?
Hopefully none. I'm not a big fan of that sort of stuff. I was very annoyed at the Indiana Jones thing at what the hell was it? The last event that we had. I can't even think of the name of it.
Summer Games Fest. No.
The one after that.
Opening Night Live.
There you go. I was very annoyed by that.
I should know my Jeff Keighley stuff, bro. I need to know it better.
He follows me on Twitter, and I don't know why. Yes, he does. And one time I went, when he did a Game Awards thing, he was hosting an open panel on Twitter Spaces afterwards. I was like, I'm gonna call in, and then he put me on the spot, and I was like, bro, I don't know how I feel about this show, man. Like we gotta retool some stuff. And he even told MVG. MVG
was that for the Game Awards? His Twitter space. Yeah. He brought me in on that one too, and asked for my and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I wasn't very pleasant. to him. But I think Jeff is kind of a victim of that toxic positivity, because everyone around him is like, yeah, you're great. This is all great. This is all awesome. And like MVG asked him, he was like, why do you like RGT? Because he doesn't see like someone you like. He's like, oh, he's a good guy. He's a straight shooter. He's a straight shooter. He's a funny guy. And I think Jeff needs someone like that to be like, hey, you know what? You should probably do it like this. I think people would appreciate this more than what you're doing.
Are you going to be the guy that follows him around at cocktail parties? Goes, don't eat that. Stop that. Put that down.
hey, he's got plenty of money. He could probably afford me to do that. But no, I hope there's nothing Xbox related there. Another game that's going to be there, the Lego Horizon game.
Oh, yeah. That's probably, that's good.
Because that needs a release date. That still doesn't have a release date, so that'll be there.
And are you going to play that?
If I can get a review copy, well, I won't get a review copy because Sony's PR hates me. I don't know. I
really got burnt out on those Lego games. I used to love them to death, but I mean, that was like 10 years ago.
But it's also like if you're a fan of the source material, you enjoy the game more. Like the Lego Jurassic World, I was all about that.
Oh,
I loved that. Yeah, because it went through the Jurassic Park movies and then it had the Jurassic World at the end of it. And I ran through that. I love that. Like the Star Wars ones are cool. The Batman ones are cool. Like if they did like a Lego, I don't know, Back to the Future or something like that. Lego Beetlejuice
I was just going to say, I was waiting till you were stopping. I was going to say, I've had this dream of playing the Back to the Future trilogy in Lego. Like that's the only thing that would bring me back. Yeah. That would be amazing.
Really, when it comes to Back to the Future, like the Telltale game was actually decent, and I don't really care for Telltale games.
Yeah.
But I like the source material. And then you had the one on the Super Famicom that never officially released stateside. That was fun. But it was just so weird how like no one ever really made like a game in which you actually played Back to the Future. Like I feel like there was so much stuff you could have done with
There's so many set pieces in the trilogy that are like ready for action that they could have done. And I've late at night awake like thinking, oh, I could imagine every level. But I don't know if Lego games still hold up. I think they've really lost their
still sell though. That's
Do they?
The thing. Yeah, because like kids are always into Legos, and there's always going to be more kids, and like more kids get into the stuff, and then the parents, some of these franchises are older stuff. Your Star Wars, your Harry Potters, your Jurassic Parks and crap like that. Like the parents grew up on it, so now they'll buy it for the kid, and then they can play it with the kid because they have a thing. I think they've slowed down a lot on it. They try to get too crazy, like the Lego movie and Lego Dimensions stuff, which actually did have Back to the Future stuff, but that's kind of lost to the sands of time.
I have one of those.
But it's an interesting game. I think it's really interesting because it's a Horizon game on the Switch. I don't know. If I see people that are talking about it, getting views on it, like, sure, I'll buy it, but it's not very high on my priority list. It also depends on when it comes out too. If there's, anything that is coming out like near it that I'm actually wanting to play.
It's supposed to be out this year. I thought, so yeah, I guess the
release
date and some more gameplay. Yeah, would
maybe Metal Gear Solid Delta, that could also be a Tokyo Game Show. I don't think that's 2024 anymore.
Yeah, I don't either.
Because you haven't heard the words 2024 come out of their mouths in a very long time. So, maybe that. But I don't know. I'm not expecting a lot from this showcase, from the State of Play, because, what you can't show something if you don't have anything to show. And I feel like that's kind of one of the situations that Sony's in. They're also kind of doing something where, especially with games like Astrobot, where they're showing a game, just a few months before it comes out. They're not doing the longer windows with some of these games, and maybe that's a bit of a detriment to them as well, because people like to see new games, and when you're trying to keep everything close to your chest, you're not Nintendo who just craps out a game every 2 months.
Like, here it is. It's coming out this year.
Yeah, throw Mario in there, throw Zelda in there, throw Link in there, throw, this character in
Didn't
there.
Didn't they show the new Zelda game this year and it's coming out like There needs to
June
be
Nintendo Direct.
There needs to be a happy medium, because Xbox is like, hey, it's 2020. Here's all the games we're making. And then it's like,
Yeah.
it's 2024 and we still need a couple more years. That's really pissed me off.
Yes.
I'm going to use a word that some of my friends don't like. You promised us all these games, and where are they? Like, the Perfect Dark I'd heard about since 2018, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that makes the wait even worse. That's my fault for hearing stuff. But yeah, we've talked about that quite a bit.
I hope that's 2025, because I know a lot of people weren't thrilled with what they saw. They're like, this doesn't look like Perfect Dark. And I was like, no, this is what Perfect Dark should be in 2024. I thought that was probably my favorite game from their presentation. Just to look at it and be like, oh yeah, I like this. I like this.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to look forward to. Well, I told you I'd keep you on for 1 hour. So when you are ready to go, I've got a couple other of my friends that are coming to come and do the rest of the show. But is there anything else you want to talk about while you're here? Tell people about your book, or I don't know.
Yeah, I'll plug my book real quick.
Hit that milestone.
Yeah, I released a book last week. It's called The Art of N64 Wrestling Games, because I played them way too much as a child and I could never get them out of my head. So I decided to write a book about it. I have review, or more just thoughts. I wouldn't say it because there's not like a definitive score or anything like that, but thoughts on every game that released in the US and Japan, including mod hacks and texture hacks from the community. I have various wrestlers who appeared in the games telling some interesting stories. A big wrestling website actually picked up one of the stories that was in the book, so that was pretty cool. You can get it on castlemaniagames.com, autographed copies, and a copy that comes with a t-shirt bundle. Those are quickly selling out for $19.99 for the book, $39.99 for the t-shirt bundle, or you could get it on Amazon. It's available on Amazon and Kindle. It is $19.99 for the paperback, $15 or $14.99 for the Kindle version. And thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
It was fun, man. I was hoping that you'd teach me a few things as you were on the show, and I think I did learn a few things, as stubborn and old as I am. I appreciate it. Everybody can follow him. I've got his Twitter handle on the bottom there. If you click that, it'll also take you to his channel. You can become one of the 500,000 people that check out the crap that he makes. That swill he does on YouTube. We were talking about YouTube pre-show about he did teach me. He's like, put out a video and just enjoy your day. Sometimes I'm like, bite my fingernails, and he said, stop that. So I appreciate it. Good advice from a good person who knows what they're doing. Yeah.
I try. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you. I'll check out your content. I want to see how to get that ROG Ally doing some emulation. Appreciate you, everybody. Give him a shout out and give him a follow, and you have a good night, man. I appreciate you for being on. Let's do it again.
Thanks for having me on, man. Yeah, anytime.
Right.
Just hit me up. Later.
All right, let me go here. All right, I'm going to bring in a couple friends. I'm going to send them the bat signal, and we're going to talk. We got a whole meaty show ready to go after this. So, well, it's always a meaty show. I really appreciate you all. I'll hit some super chats while I wait for them to jump into the fray, which I think they can do without a special invite. So hopefully they're listening. I've got a couple supers here. We got Amish Al says, who has a patent for bow shooting and jumping? He was explaining that Nintendo put some sort of patent for Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, where when you're falling and jumping off a cliff, that you can shoot a bow and arrow while you're in the air. I think that's absolutely nonsense. But Yosemite Blam, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says, my king, RGT, the king of Xbox and console gaming, are hybrids the future of console gaming? Do graphics really matter? Gameplay and mechanics rule. Yosemite, sorry I didn't read this one while he was here, but are hybrids the future of console gaming is your first question. Yes, I actually believe they are. I believe that there will be, there's a rumor that the PS6 has two SoCs or two chips. I believe it's probably just a regular console and a native game playing handheld, just like Xbox. I think they're both going to do the same thing, but I think Xbox will be more of a hybrid console that will allow you to do more PC gaming on it, which would be really cool. Do graphics really matter? Ask Yosemite Blam, or as my friend would read it, Yosemite. No, they don't. Graphics are not selling. Games with big graphics are not hardly ever the top selling games. I saw a video today that said the top selling games of all time. The very bottom of the top best was Cyberpunk, which is a very graphically demanding game. But the rest of the games were all smaller games like Terraria, Minecraft, Zelda, Mario. Yeah, graphics don't matter. He says gameplay and mechanics rule, and that is absolutely true. Mescalito, thank you so much for the $5 super. Says, why does everyone ignore the innate cultural differences from the class divide of the consumer and average dev as a variable for IP failure? Seems obvious to me that this is so true, because there are so many people that are so loud and talking about what they want, asking for things like a Bloodborne remaster or a Bloodborne sequel or Splinter Cell. And I feel like one of the problems we're having right now in this generation with modern developers and publishers is they aren't listening to what the masses are asking for. And I think it's so obvious. You could just comb through any forum. You could just Google. They could just do a search result like Ubisoft say, did people want Splinter Cell? You could just write the name Splinter Cell and it would tell them, yes, go to work on one of those right now. So Danny Patch Official, thank you for the $2 super chat. He says, dropping some love. I appreciate you. And Yutani Kazato was making fun of Horizon Forbidden West and the leaks for State of Play, which we ended the last segment on. And he says, that leaked State of Play is hilarious. It was a fake troll thing. He says, they got Horizon Forbidden East, remasters and remakes, and there's like Horizon Forbidden North and all that crap. But yeah, let me grab my cohorts. Where are they? I'm like, where'd they go? Are they in the chat? Udani, you're there, right? Where? Let me see. Yo, jump in. I'm going to bring on Holly, that blue number, from the Renegade Realm podcast, and Red Wolf from the Renegade Realm podcast. Holly's also on the Infinite podcast on Fridays, and they're great people, and they will make you smile. And we're going to get into the real meat. While RGT was here, I wanted to get into the Nintendo stuff and PlayStation leaks and stuff, because he covers a lot of that stuff. So yeah, we will get that ready. Red is queuing in right now, I think. And I don't want to jump ahead, but the next thing we're going to talk about, I'll start this one since this came out. Colin Moriarty, who runs Sacred Symbols, said he talked to a source that he verified. He's very confident that that Concord cost the studio $400 million. This is old news to some of you, so I'll cut right to the chase. Herman Holtz, as RGT explained, he said that Firewalk and Concord was like a big franchise for the team. I have the quote from somebody sent it to me. It's one of those really bad gotchas. We talked a lot about Concord. I don't talk about it much here because it's like, what's the point? The game shut down after 10 days. But it's very hard to believe that they spent $400 million on a 25 roster 5v5 hero shooter. And that is like a Dollar General Guardians of the Galaxy. I liked playing the beta. I played it for like 5 or 6 hours. I'm like, this is fun. I wouldn't return to it, but it's not horrible, but I'll never play it again. Maybe that's what everyone else thinks, and that's a death sentence to his live service game. PlayStation isn't listening to their fans. Let me see. Where's Red Wolf? You haven't turned on your stuff yet, but I'll bring him on as soon as he does that. Where was I? Okay. Yeah. Concord. Whatever. Next thing.
I got the, I tried to find the M&Ms. I did find the lube.
I can hear you.
Oh, God.
I found the M&Ms.
Oh, no.
What are you wearing?
Sorry, I jumped in the wrong show. I'm so sorry. I thought I was on the, is this the Furries BS show? Oh, God. You look so much like Colteastwood.
The Furries convention?
God. AI is so weird, man. Are you using what's going on?
What did you kill to put that on your head?
I walked into a there was a village of grizzly bears that I befriended on my way to the show, and they said, brother, ooh, come. And I said, and they said, listen, one of our siblings died. You can have their skin. And I said, sure. And so I ate a bunch of berries, and here I am. And I don't know in what order that happened. I don't know if it was the berries that I ate first and then this happened, but here I am.
You look like something that Holly's in the wrong room. Okay, let me put this back there. There we go. Holly's in the wrong room, so I'll bring her over. There we go. You look like something that we would take down in Fallout 76. So
no, this is in celebration of Palworld getting sued. So I'm dressing up as the Pal Red Pal Rena World.
Red Pal Rena World.
That's yes.
That blue number. Welcome to the show. I'm sorry that you know this person over here, but we appreciate you for showing up and being here. Mag is gone. He's in Nashville, I think. He's in the States. Mm-hmm. So, how have you been?
Good.
Oh, I got to turn you down a little bit. Let me see.
Oh,
Hold
really?
on.
That's amazing because I'm usually really quiet. So.
Well, let me make sure. Say something again.
Red has
okay. It's just loud for me.
Okay.
Beaver head or whatever.
That wasn't on purpose this time. I give him about 5 minutes before he's too hot to keep that on.
I am lit. Nope, it's happening now. I'm so fucking hot. Or effing. Sorry, Colt. God, I'm sorry. I should go.
This is when a bit goes wrong way too quickly.
Yodonic Izada drops a $5 super, says Red never beating the allegations of making his panel have various wolf names, LARPing as personas. Oh my gosh.
Persona. I love it. Look how red my face is. Oh my God.
He's going to have a rash tomorrow on the show. He's going to be like scratching everywhere. And
look at my neck. Oh my God.
Palsy.
Yeah, that was not okay. It was, I was like, this will be a fun, silly thing. I'm just going to jump in and improv. And the improv turned into me like almost dying. That was rough.
Gaz wore that rubber pony mask at Gamescom in Germany last year and went up to Aaron Greenberg wearing that thing. And I can imagine the sweat profusely pouring around his little face. But
yeah.
I'm going to bring you guys right. Let's just throw you right into the lion's den as we look at your main that you had on.
Oh,
Red.
Yeah, that's right on topic. Yep.
Let's talk about Square Enix being Square Enix. Apparently, I mean, there was lots of claims from me and other people that Final Fantasy failed, but Tokyo Game Show is coming up, and I'm thinking we're going to get a bombshell, or as Crap Gamer Reviews would say, a megaton of hot news for the Asian games or Japanese games. Square Enix might drop most, if not all, of the Final Fantasy games that have never been on Xbox, like Final Fantasy XZYAQ #$ peanut butter logo. Like it might happen. Do you care?
Hey, Holly.
If I had a cricket button right now.
Yeah. I mean, are Xbox fans going to buy all these games like Final Fantasy? What was the one that was Intrograde or Penetrate or something like that? There was one
Penetrate,
that came out,
yeah, Final Fantasy Penetrate. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people are wanting Final Fantasy VII remake to make its way over, and I think probably what's in the pipeline is Final Fantasy 16. Because we've been, hearing a lot of people on the inside talking about that coming over. Yeah. But the thing is, like, Final Fantasy is the hot topic. So even if it's not Final Fantasy 7 or 16, people just want some kind of Final Fantasy, even if it's like a backwards compatible something to come to current platform. Even like Jez Corden was talking about he was on Gaz's show and he was talking about 13, like a Final Fantasy 13 collection coming, and I was like, out of all the games,
I've never heard of 13 ever.
It's the one with the girl with the pink hair. You'd love it, Holly.
Yes, you know me so well.
It's a whole thing. I actually was not a fan of that one. And I remember that was like I I remember my friend buying the Xbox 360, the console, like, and it was like themed over of Final Fantasy 13, and it died immediately. It got the red.
It died of cringe.
I'll never forget that. He's like, "I'm so excited, bro! Oh my god, I got my anime pillow all curled up inside of me, or not inside. Well, you never know. But he's got his anime pillow and everything ready to go, and his console just dies immediately. It was fantastic. I loved it.
You have such false memory. I'm looking. The box had the girl with blondish pink hair, but the console itself was just the standard console.
I think it was like the faceplate was the only difference.
I'm Googling it right now. Yeah. No, I don't know. It looks the same.
You know, that happened to me with the PS4. I waited and bought the Nathan Drake PS4, the special edition one that's blue with his silhouette on the side.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. So I was like, okay, here we go, right? Gorgeous. So I brought it home and I plugged it in, and it fatal errored in like the first turn on. I was like,
wow.
Because I had to pack the whole dang thing up and then take it back and hope they still had another one to replace it with, because I didn't want it unless I could get the blue Nathan Drake one. And they did.
Shout out to PlayStation for taking refurbished consoles and sticking a their new skin on there.
Sticker on the side.
Our friend Sean the Breeze in the chat. We don't often get to see Sean the Breeze, a rare sighting in the wild. And he says, Crocs on an escalator. Yeah. Crap game worth it. You do not wear Crocs.
I was his 1000th follow.
You were?
And I told him that. I was like, hey, Sean, I was your 1000th follow. And he's like, cool, man. Yeah.
Oh, you have to meet him in person.
Even a SpongeBob gif. He loves SpongeBob.
He is he's got about that much excitement in person. Like, we're all loud and obnoxious. He's like, that was funny, guys. He does this thing like, you guys are funny. He's so quiet. He's great.
When he actually bursts out laughing, you know you've hit like comedy gold. You're like,
right? Yeah. Yes, I am the funniest.
And then he'll go, I gotta admit, that was pretty funny. Yeah, like that.
That's exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I love him. He's so awesome. Hey, we wouldn't be able to do it if Xbox didn't hold events. I sure hope they're going to continue to hold events. But so Tokyo Game Show, all I'm thinking is Phil wants us to watch. Regular Phil, not super buff Phil, wants us to watch. And
at 3 a.m.
Yeah, at 3 a.m. Yeah, what time is it?
Be lonely here.
Tokyo Game Show is. You said
it's 3 a.m. for East Coast or me. I can't remember which one it is. So it's either like 12 or 1 for you, depending.
Oh, it's perfect. My dog will have me up. My dog will have me up to give him breakfast at that time.
For breakfast?
So 12 a.m. would be 3 a.m. Eastern. Or no, 3 a.m. 12 a.m. Pacific is 3 a.m. Eastern. EEDT, Holly. Which I agree with you. It's so weird.
I don't do that anymore.
What is that? Eastern Digital Time? What the hell does it? What is it?
Yeah. What was?
Gosh, what a dummy!
I lost my mind today when I saw the State of Play
Eastern
thing, and I was like, "What time is this? Why do they never put it in the U.S. time from the U.S. account?" And then our good buddy Assassin, who's in the chat, was like, "You're an idiot. There's an Eastern time right on there." And I was like, "Why does it have a D and not an S?"
That's what I'm like. So what do we have, like an ENT, like an Eastern night times?
It's Eastern Daylight Time, and then when you get after Halloween or whatever, it'll just be Eastern Standard Time. I might have that wrong, but I used to put the EDT or the EST on my podcast promos, and then I got tired of changing. I'm like, wait a minute, what's the clock doing right now? Yeah, that's a yeah. John says 907 says great show tonight. Thank you. Sorry, Holly.
Sorry. They should just put a city like New York, Chicago, Denver, LA. Like that covers all of them.
Yeah, just cover it all. Yeah.
Like B, I didn't know B was Berlin time. I didn't know that was an actual thing until Assassin greatly informed me.
BMT time? Bowel movement time.
I was just about to say.
There we go.
In London, it's GMT. I'm like, what the heck does a G stand for? And they're like Greenwich, Greenwich or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Greenwich.
Okay.
Hold on, let me put the timestamps. Talked about time zones for 7 hours. Let me put that on there.
This is how we play games.
This is how we party chat. It's ridiculous. And Holly ends up being the worst victim of our nonsense. Will Broke Boy Lewis, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Says Red Wolf wants to be an oh no, it's Alex because you're wearing the furry ears. Now take off your shirt. Let me get some money out first.
It's funny because I was actually going to I was going to pull my shirt over my head to cover my furry shoulders. That way the lion head, it would match with just like this part of my chest. But I was like, inappropriate. Don't do that.
Wait, you have furry shoulders for real? Like it sticks out the collar? Like hair?
No, just like you can like it's like, you can
Don't
see
admit
that
it.
little bit of fur.
You just need a brush, not a comb.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was like, this isn't gonna work. I can't do this. So I just wore just the.
I find if you put duct tape on your back and leave it for a couple days, like even when you shower, at the end of the week you can just pull one in.
Yes.
Do you scream Kelly Clarkson when you do it?
Yes, that's the only way that it'll work. That's the only way that it'll work.
And then when you turn it over, it's perfect for covering your bald spot because it's got this.
Right,
hair.
exactly. You just stick it back on. You're like, done. Look at that. Got hair again. Yeah.
Hargeet came in the clutch and said Tokyo Game Show is 6 a.m. Eastern, 3 a.m. Pacific. There you go. It's still too early, but
it's way too early. I was like, I'm gonna stream not that, and the decision was made very quickly.
You'd stream like this.
Yeah, I'm like, oh God. Yeah, exactly.
I had to do. I did a podcast for someone, and they're like, "Hey, we do our show at 11 a.m." And I'm like, "But that's like 8 for me." And so I come in, I'm like,
yeah,
with Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Shout out to the chat. Sean Labrice is taking notes.
Here. I can't see who's. I'll shout everyone else at the end of the show in 4 hours. Yeah.
Okay, let's get back on Tokyo Game Show. Yeah, there we were. Okay, I don't know what else is what to expect. It must be good. Maybe they're gonna throw some crud in Game Pass. I guess. You guys have anything else you want to say about what to expect from that show?
But okay, seriously, thoughts on Final Fantasy?
Okay.
People announced the Black Myth Wukong date for Xbox. Maybe they've got that worked out.
That blue number actually says something that is probably coming true.
Do you think that soon? You mean like a release?
Not
date,
that it's that day, but a day coming.
Like a day, like it's coming in 6 months.
Even if it's
right.
Even if it's Black Myth Wukong coming to Xbox, I think Holly is right. Yep.
I never thought of that. Yeah, I never thought of that.
Yep.
The game's still, it's not. It doesn't speak to me, but hey.
No, but it's a big game, and
it's a big ding dang deal.
Yeah.
You
so whenever that,
each other's sentences.
So we'll know what that mystery purchase contract was for timed exclusivity.
You mean the one where Phil's like shaking hands with the president, like, "You're gonna put our games on there, right?" And he's like, "Not now." Yeah, that's. There's like,
oh man!
I look at that picture. It's like they were shaking their hands. Like, are we done yet? No.
He's like, I'm not letting go until you say yes.
It's because they always go. Okay, ready? 1, 2. Wait, that's selfie. Oh, hold on. Oh, guys just sent me a reel. It's really offensive. Yeah, it's like that. It's like that. Everyone knows. I was taking. Oh, my wife met. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. AC Slater. Holly, help me out. Mario Lopez.
Oh, Mario Lopez.
And she was like, sorry to bother you. I'd love to take a picture of you real quick. And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. And I went up and I grabbed the phone. And I just went, okay, here we go. And I took it. And he goes, oh, finally someone who knows how to take a picture. Because everyone goes, 1, 2, wait. Like you're at Sears. All right, let's talk about gaming. Let's get back on topic.
They dangle a copy of Concord.
It's a rare occurrence.
It's so worth it. Let's shift gears and talk about. Shout out to Game Seeker in the chat. Let's talk about Sarah Bond's interview. And I have a feeling you both probably caught more of this news or the report on it than I did. But Sarah Bonds, the best part of this thing is Sarah Bonds said that she put a Post-it note. She told this journalist, she put a Post-it note on her computer that said, "I'm not paid to do what he says. I'm paid to do what he means," referring to Phil Spencer. I'll start with you, Holly. What did you get from this Sarah Bond interview? Were you able to kind of gather some info on it?
I was a little surprised that they told everybody kind of outright, like, we had some growing pains, right? Because usually the companies don't quite admit that, especially to this degree. But her talking about that Post-it and what she put was like, yes, because I've been going through some frustrations at work, and I was like, I know exactly what you mean. Like, I was like screaming at my phone, like, yes. But
you're like, I have the same Post-it.
I was like, no, I was literally like, I'm writing this down. It's on a new Post-it for my wall. But it's refreshing because, again, right, they're kind of showing their humane side or their humanity, right? That it's not always sunshine and roses. And it also speaks to probably what we know or suspect about Phil being a very calm person who doesn't get agitated, who has a lot of understanding for things not necessarily going right and not going totally bananas, right, when things don't. But then also it's when you meet Sarah in person and when you see her at these events, like, she's extremely energetic. Like, she's bouncing between her feet. When you meet her, she's just throwing all of her energy at you. Hello, how are you? Like grabbing your hand to shake it, all of that. So when it said that she was the one who was like, I'm not letting this go, and that caused some rifts sometimes in their corporate culture, I was like, makes perfect sense. Like, I see that in her personality because she's very energetic. She's very bubbly. She really just is like, no, we're going to fix this. Right. When maybe it was let go before. I thought that was really cool. I liked seeing the personal side of how people conduct business versus just here was our decision and here are the steps that are being taken forthwith.
And she's like, no, I've got another idea. Red, you've paid attention to Sarah Bond. She's now the leader of Xbox. Everyone looks at Phil like, what's Phil going to do? What's Phil doing? But it's really her who she's making the decision. So what are you seeing right now? And did you catch some of this interview or the fallout from it, I guess?
No, I didn't. But I will say that Sarah Bond definitely and Control Alt Escape. Can I just get out of this? Control Z. No, I will say that from what I know from what I've seen from Sarah Bond, like you said, Holly, like her being very energetic, she definitely knows how to play the community side of things, and really, really well. And we saw that in the infamous interview with the
Bloomberg or whatever it was.
With the shutting down of the Arcane and those other studios. She definitely knows how to community her way out of things. She knows. I'm trying to be polite because she is an executive and she has to be professional and she has to be, she has to come off very nice, and
she can't throw Phil and Satya under the bus to say, look, this wasn't my idea.
Especially whenever Phil's sitting there next to her going the entire time during that interview.
Still your boss.
He's like, go ahead, say what you want to say. Say what you want to say. Yeah, exactly.
Phil's just back with the curtain right here, and he's just like,
yeah, exactly. Behind the scenes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I don't know. I think by her saying, so I don't know, maybe I'm just an idiot, which is, that can also be a thing, but she said, I'm not here to do what he says. I'm here to do what he meant.
Mm-hmm. Or I'm paid to,
I guess. Yeah. Right. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm not paid to do that. I guess she's, I don't know. The way that I read that is her saying like I am carrying on what his intentions were. Like we saw eye to eye at least on that level, and I'm gonna carry that to the ends of Mordor, to the ends of tis folly, as Sean Bean would say.
Scene Bond.
Scene Bond. So,
like, why can't you pronounce the Bean Bond and the Sean Sheen?
Right, exactly. Yeah, Scene Bond, Sean Bean, Sheen Bond. Every single time that I voice a text, the word Sean, because shout out to my friend Sean Forsaken, it says scene. I'm like, there are so many ways.
It does SHWN when I'm like talk to text messaging Sean the Breed. It's like, that's not how you spell his name, and he's gonna punch me.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I think that Sarah Bond does a great job for what her role is. It kind of scares me what she's like behind the scenes, because I have PTSD from executives that seem really nice in person, and then they shove their foot up your anus whenever, So,
how you doing, buddy?
Those people, how you doing? And they're like
shaking your hand. You're like, you hurt my arm.
Exactly. So like, why is an ambulance here? Who's that person in the body bag? Yeah, exactly. So
I think
that was my career going. I was like, who's that? Yeah, exactly. God, that was my whole life.
Fred's like, I don't know what I did wrong. I just told her to F off and not to call me ever or message me while I'm at work. I'm like, well, everything works out for a reason.
Or at 3 a.m. on a Sunday,
Yeah, which did happen, by the way. And I'm like, why are you alive right now? Or I mean, why are you awake? Well, either way, why? Both, whatever. Is that the cops knocking on my door? No. Anyway, so Sarah Bond is doing a great job at Xbox.
Well, she did a terrible job answering that question.
She did a terrible job answering that question, and I think like even whenever like Phil was like playing the game, just to go back to like the interview with Bloomberg, like he was playing the game really, really well, in terms of just like. In terms of just saying what needed to be said and not saying too much. I feel like Sarah Bond was like put into a corner with like a little less experience with Phil, and all she had to say was, I just love keeping my job, and I love being here and running this business and just not being in trouble, and that's just great to have a bunch of games.
I would just like to keep my parking spot, if at all possible,
right next to the front door.
If we can be
7 figures a year feels good.
Yeah,
I'd like that. To make light of it, because like people ran over her for that, not ready answer that was just terrible. And she's very well spoken. She was definitely up against the wall. Mm-hmm. I would like to kind of make the joke that she's like, I'm running Xbox. Like, why am I not running Xbox yet? Like, I know I'm just like new in the position, and it feels like, oh, we just closed down Arcane Tango. Go ahead. Go. You run Xbox now. Go do the interview. And she was like, that sucks.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Like, see what you're made of, kid.
She had to be in those conversations, right? Yeah, like, it's not like, and I agree. Yes. Like, she was kind of thrown to the fire, but she's also making enough money to kind of have an uncomfortable interview once or twice, right? Because she's in that position.
Yeah. I'll do that for 6 figures.
But sign me up. It's probably more like 7. But I think what this interview does is it tells you their communication styles. It's just like me and my boss. My boss is very soft-spoken, will talk around things to soften everything. One time he told me I wasn't getting a promotion. I didn't even realize it till I left the room half an hour later. And I was like,
you're like, wait a minute.
All right. Well played, sir. I wasn't like, later I realized, and I was like, right? And that's not me. Like, I'm just very like, what do you want? Like, here's what I have to tell you. That's it.
And right? He's still missing, right, Holly?
We don't talk about that. But I think that's what's happened here too, right? Like, she's just very like, no nonsense, kind of straight to the point from what it sounds like, because she's trying to interpret what he means when he tells her something, right? So it's his communication style of, trying to get a point across without being too direct or too, I don't know. It works for some people and other people it doesn't. When I try it, nobody understands what I wanted them to do. And then we're like a week later and I'm like, why didn't you do this? And they're like, when did you tell me to do that? So
at work, I come off as very too business oriented, where I'll just, the email's like, Sean with SEAN, Sean, I need updates to this so I can have this by Monday at 5 p.m. Like that's, and it comes off as very like, I need this. But in email, it's like, you don't need a flower. I don't need to butter you up. We're at work. But what if Sarah has to deal with the Jekyll and Hyde thing? Well, that wasn't very accurate. What if Sarah has to deal with, feels like we want a unique experience on console. We want our console and our platform people on Game Pass to feel like they're getting the premier experience and that they chose Xbox for a good reason. So let's deliver what they need and let's make sure that they're getting the things that they're asking for. And then he goes back to Satya, and Satya's like, look, we're going to need to put more games on PlayStation. And he's like, crap. I told Sarah to really, really bolster up the platform. Then he's like, no, we're not doing that, Sarah. Phil's like, we're not doing that. This game's going to go over here, and then we'll probably consider that game to go multi-platform. Because Phil doesn't seem like the kind of person who, I've listened to him talk so many times to the press, and he uses all the corporate speak. I just wonder if he has intentions, a little bit of intentions to do what the fans are asking for. And then when it goes back up to Satya, it's like, well, we're not exactly doing that. The other thing I want to say on Sarah's behalf is she has a really big opportunity right now to become a very historic leader in the tech space because of who she is and her corporate background of running a portion of T-Mobile. And now she's in this position where she could make a really big name for herself. I'm in charge of Xbox now. I'm going to make a name for myself and really blow this platform, like blow it up and make it amazing. And maybe she doesn't get yes often enough to do any of that. That's just how I see it. But that's my opinion.
And she really loves gaming, which I really like. That's the thing I appreciate about all of the execs at Xbox, right? Is they are actual gamers. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't want to give her too much pressure on what's going on, but we want to see those results. One of the reports that came out this week was that Game Pass was spending $1 billion a year to get games into Game Pass. If you're familiar with how many games are in there, I think it's some 300, maybe 400 games. I just paired this with Xbox saying they make about $1 billion in net profit on Game Pass every quarter. So they're making anywhere, or the one quarter. I'm sorry. Sometimes I just say this stuff off of total memory and I'm old, but one quarter, they reported $1 billion in net revenue. One quarter being, 3 months out of the year. Maybe it was a holiday when it was really great, but take that as you will, that I would think that Xbox Game Pass profits 3, maybe even 4 billion a year and only spends 1 billion to put games in Game Pass. Of course, you have marketing teams and all that other stuff and the servers, but obviously it's very profitable. I don't know. Red, you use Game Pass once in a while. Do you feel like that people are getting their money's worth? Is Game Pass delivered on the promise of what they've, I don't know what their tagline is. Just, what is it like? Just get out there and play something. Have fun, good luck, or whatever. Good luck, have fun.
I don't know. I think Game Pass is great. I think Game Pass is great.
Free.
Like, it's like
free. Have you subscribed to Game Pass?
Free.
What's his name?
I don't want to get you canceled.
That
was Takamura.
Yeah. Free.
Yeah,
He's such a cool voice. Hold on, get water.
He is like my favorite character. I actually have a Funko of him that I spent way too much money on. But yeah, I don't like, I love Game Pass. I think Game Pass is great, but like, I am not subscribed to. I'm only subscribed to Core just so I can play with you guys. Because
Yeah.
number one, now I might not be the right person to. Let's pretend like I don't care about physical media.
Yeah.
I would say that that Game Pass is a great value for people who don't. It's so hard to word. Like, I think the answer is no. The answer is no. I don't think that Game Pass right this very second is we're not seeing like enough of like the AAA stuff. We're seeing tons and tons and tons of AA and indie stuff coming to Game Pass, which I think is fantastic. But we got things like Starfield and Indiana Jones and Fable and a lot of first party stuff coming. But I think like we're not seeing a lot of that happening all at once. So it doesn't seem like it has a lot of value in the AAA space because we're so far separated from like the big influx of the big titles. So people are saying, "Where's your God of War equivalent? Where's your Nathan?" Those kind of things. Like, where's your Fables? Where's your Starfields and stuff like that. But I think like as a casual gamer, Game Pass has been great this year. Now, 2 years ago, Game Pass was popping, and we were getting all the stuff. We were getting the big, or no, sorry, not 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right? When the hell did no wait, Gears of War 5 didn't come out, or 4 didn't come out. 5.
5 was 2020, right?
Oh, 4 years ago. Listen,
Well,
it's been a long
what are
time.
you asking? Are you asking when they had the really big year? It was 2021 with Halo Infinite and.
Yeah, there was a year. Help me out. There was a year where we were getting like a ton of AAA. It was like every 3 or 4 months we were getting like a big AAA game. Was that 2020? I thought that was 2022.
Was it 22, 23, or 24 or so?
Okay,
Maybe it was 20.
Then to my point, I think Game Pass has been great. I don't think that it's been great in terms of like first party stuff. That's like pretty much all that I'm trying to say. And enough for me to say I'd rather just have Core and just buy the games. But that's me. I'm weird. I like to have, if I'm gonna play something forever, I'm gonna buy it. I don't know. Did I answer your question, or did I ramble on long enough to forget what you even asked me?
I don't know. I have a different opinion. I've been telling people lately, I don't think Game Pass has delivered on its promise. But you talk to good friends like Hargi Chani who have loved the little games and gems and discovering wonder of little games. But I could sit here and tell you where are the other big games, but they do bring things like Guardians of the Galaxy and Star Wars, all these games that are big, but they come long after diehards buy them. And, maybe that's my fault, but I don't understand why Xbox isn't, if they're spending $1 billion, if they're making, so I said they could be making $3 to $4 billion a year, Holly. If they're making $1 to $2 billion a year, why aren't they spending more of that money to get big games day and date? I think if they did that, people would think of Game Pass differently. But I think maybe their approach is we're going to have so many studios that we don't need to buy other people's games. They're going to be our games, because there's rumors that Xbox might want to buy another studio so they can continue to bring stuff to everybody. I don't know.
Well, does the 1 million count the prices or the costs that were set for games that they're producing themselves and bringing into Game Pass? You know
No,
what I mean?
I would agree that it probably means
that's
that
a
doesn't
big cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's probably just their external deals. So I would say that's why they're not spending more. Plus, they probably have a curated budget and they know what games are anticipated for each year. We also know the games are subject to a lot of different delays and other things that come up unexpectedly. So they have some of that budget fluid depending on when things get kicked out to further years or moved entirely. And their fiscal year is May 1st. So that is a little bit different too. But I would say that they're probably trying to have an entire list of games that they can slot in, slot out quickly for, and have those deals sort of pre-made depending on how solid they are on those dates that those games come out. But I would be it would be interesting to see what that purchase value or that $1 billion turns out to be after this one every quarter really does start cranking up, because I wouldn't be surprised if that backs off just a little bit, because they are bringing these bigger games that they're paying a lot to produce.
I agree. I think they're doing the same thing the PlayStation's doing. PlayStation's giving everybody these remasters to stall out until their first party's ready, and Xbox has been putting these little gems into Game Pass, and some hit, some don't. Red makes a really good point that they have all these games coming. The problem is they're all launching at the very last 3 months of the year, because what we didn't highlight today is Aura History Untold. What was the other one that has the exact same name? Age of Mythology. Age of Mythology. Aura History Untold. Now we're getting Flight Sim 2024,
Frostpunk
which
2
is going to be big. What was the other one?
Oh, Frostpunk 2. I'm sorry. Those Frostpunk 2 came out this month as well. Also in Game Pass, which is the same.
But I'm talking about Xbox's first party studios. Like they left us dry all year with just Hellblade, but they've got Aura, they've got Age of Mythology, they've got Flight Sim 2024, which is going to be a gigantic game. And then they've got Stalker 2, Indiana Jones. That's 5 games. Call of Duty. It's 6. Okay, so Age and Aura are small, but I would not consider Stalker and Indy and Flight Sim and Call of Duty and whatever one I'm missing. I wouldn't consider those small. Yeah, those 4. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big Game Pass jump. Right. And then they pushed Avowed out because of Dragon Age.
That's why I'm hoping, and that's what I mean, Dean and Chad. I see you. No, I'm just kidding. I love you. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't think that Game Pass is necessarily. It's not that I just feel like we're in like a lull with Game Pass, where people that have Game Pass and are loving Game Pass are people that are used to Game Pass, but we're not seeing like the big hitters every 2-3 months or whatever like we have seen. I'm hoping that after October, we're gonna start seeing like that next influx of big AAA games like Fable. Hopefully, I don't know, like Stalker, and then 4 months later we get like another big game and whatnot. Because 2025 is sort of like in the dark right now as far as first party titles.
It's supposed to be the year that Xbox arrived, and I'm getting so tired of saying that. I'm getting tired of people telling me I've said it because I keep saying it. But I don't understand what you're supposed to do. Like, they showed these games in 2020 and like they should be out by now. And did we really think we were going to wait that long for Redfall and Starfield? And we did. It was great.
Yeah, exactly. What's happening to your face, Colt?
I don't know. Crazy? It was like ultra. It was ultra.
What is happening? Your face is on fire. Your beard's on fire. Oh,
hold on. Let me look. There it is. It was like super pixelated. Yeah, the internet's jumping up and down. I don't know why.
No. It's like in Discord. Like you had like a literal ember on your beard.
Hold on.
It's fine. No, really? You look great. You have like a green. Never mind. Sorry, I'm.
So what they're seeing is one of the things I did on the show was let me get back to where I was. I'm casting my camera to them so they can see it, so I get a better quality on the show, and so maybe they're seeing the glitch of the Matrix. But I don't even remember what we were saying. But Xbox sucks, and we're done. No, I'm just kidding. No, they'll pull out of this. It's when you said 2025 is in the dark. They have a bunch of games that they're probably going to show again, and they're going to release another like 5 or 6 games next year. They're supposed to release 8. I don't know. I guess they're doing 6.
Well, but that's what I mean. Like, no, go.
I was just going to say the other thing too is that, just because there's been some games in there that like they have a lot of really good indie games. They have a lot of good, really indie titles, and that might not be, or even kids games, right? Like those might not be our forte or your forte. I like indie games a lot. I poke through a lot of them that come to Game Pass. And I understand that they kind of get lost in the shuffle because everybody's always looking for the next big thing to be in Game Pass. But those add a lot of value to the service. And in all honesty, I think a lot of those indies are doing very well because of Game Pass, because it is too hard to think about dropping $40 for this indie or even $20-$30, right, for the next indie when it's sandwiched between Stalker, Call of Duty, between, all of the things that are coming out, right? So it's a bigger value for the right customer than I think people probably give it credit for.
And I am unfair sometimes because Palworld was gigantic for 2, maybe 3 months at the beginning of the year. And then once it fizzled out, Hellblade was around the corner. But then we waited that long time where people don't release games in the summer. I think they need to stop not releasing games in the summer. I feel like lots and lots of gamers buy games whenever they can, whenever great games are out. But I'm also trying to be fair enough to hear the voice of people who are like me, who feel like, are we getting the money worth that we're spending every time into Game Pass? And they've upped the ante and they're making people pay even more. But I don't know. This is interesting. I just put out this video today where I called out everything that PlayStation and Xbox screwed up. And this came out this weekend after I made the video. PlayStation's business is out of fashion is what I want to talk about. Bloomberg's intelligence analyst, Nathan Adu, sees ads and subscription booming as the dominant way to monetize games with this decade, with cloud gaming washing away the traditional console. This isn't me saying this. This is a Bloomberg analyst saying the PS4 Pro back last generation accounted for only 15% of that generation's lifetime sales. AAA Hollywood games are the old way of doing business. Now, Xbox fans have been waiting for their just one, as Lord Cognito says. We're waiting for that AAA Hollywood game. Maybe it's Fable, maybe it's Perfect Dark, but we've been waiting a decade for that. But it sounds like PlayStation is not really keen on following that trail the way they used to. This is kind of an interesting discussion, but they pushed hard on games as a service. But where are their first-party Sony Santa Monica Naughty Dog games? Are they going to go back to that, or is that something they're going to make a wholesale change on?
I mean, I think whenever you look at the trend, like you said, the trend of subscription services in general, not just in gaming, like we talk about like the Netflix effect, how like they kicked off this whole thing where we've seen a ton of companies that you've never heard of completely just fail in the subscription service with movie and TV. Some are doing well in their own space, like little things like Shudder. Has anyone heard of that? Anyone heard of Shudder? Probably not. They're doing just fine. They're very particular with their genre of stuff that they like to that they have on their catalog, which is like horror stuff. Sony, I think maybe, I don't know. Maybe their problem is that they want these giant cinematic, really expensive experiences, and they probably don't think that that is something that is sustainable with a subscription service. So they still want to be known for something that is worth paying $70 to $80 for, and they don't think that they probably think that their games might be those experiences might be diluted by a subscription service where they could just make more money. Like we saw what happened with Wukong, Black Myth Wukong. What if Black Myth Wukong was on the PS Plus day one, and they tried to say go to subscribe to PS Plus. We've seen the Game Pass effect. We've seen where people have like flocked to Game Pass, like for love it or hate it, Starfield. So many people subscribed to Game Pass just to play Starfield, just to at least try it. And and I'm not an analyst or anything, but I would say that you are probably still going to be taking a hit with your cost versus income, depending on how much the game costs to make. So Sony is probably looking at this like, I don't know if I'm so sorry. I'm trying to stay. I don't know if you can't.
No, you're doing really well because Sony has, but Jim Ryan and Hiroki Totoki said that what are we doing? We're spending $200-300 million on these big cinematic games, and then we're only selling them to 12 million people, which is not enough for PlayStation. They're not making their money back the way that they've seen other games do this. So Holly, as I ask Red, is Sony going to back off on the over-the-shoulder sad dad, big cinematic blockbuster Hollywood experience? Maybe they're going to cut it in half, or maybe they're going to take those games and say they should be about 20 hours and they should take less time and cost less money, because you can still be a great game.
Yeah, I think Sony's been through the ringer the last few years, right? They had that pretty extreme bloat with Insomniac for Spider-Man 2, and then they've had Concord come up really, really high, and Foam Stars didn't do very well. And, they've kind of had a string, right? A bad luck. Bungie being how they are right now, I think what they've been learning is a very hard lesson. I think they need to find a good rhythm. I think they need to find a way to create live service games or successful services, successful gas games. I think there's a niche that they do need to tap into there to help support some of the other stuff that they're doing. But I think that they know where their bread and butter is. And I think that a lot of people don't like to hear it, but I think the simple thing for them to do is to go back to having, I think it needs to be a hybrid. I don't think you can do all or none, right? It seems like they've done a lot of all and not much of the story-driven stuff lately. Hybrid is just good for longevity. And I think they'll probably be much more budget conscious. But at the end of the day, I think what they're going to come to is just the fact that their single player experiences need to launch on PC at the same time as they launch on console, because it's just good business.
Jeez. And
that's where the money is. And yes, they're getting money, that they're
can't Sony
getting
say
paid
we get just as much money by making PC gamers buy it later and double dipping,
but they don't. I'm confident that they don't. I mean, there has to be, I don't know, right? But there has to be a report somewhere, or somebody who's done the market analysis on this. We've talked about this before. I guarantee you that people who are hyped for a game when all of the marketing is done, right? The bulk of marketing for any game is done at initial release on the platform that it's on. And yes, PC gamers will wait. They typically will not go get a console for those types of console specific games. But the hype around when your buddies are playing a specific game like Spider-Man, right? All of those things that are occurring, the social credit that you get from when a game initially releases, I think they do lose some of that momentum by doing later launches on PC. Not all of it, of course, it still do very well on PC, but there is something to be said for that late launch. And I wouldn't be surprised if they kept all of their game prices full price, because PC usually is a little bit cheaper because the game is a little bit older. Maybe $10, or isn't it? Aren't they 60 usually? I think most.
Yeah, I think they're
Sony
60
games
on
are
Steam.
like around 60. So they could easily launch day and date everywhere and be 70, no problem, right? To help. Yeah. I mean, that all helps. And if they're going to do the PC port anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't fault them for saying we'll just put the PC version out a year later, because we still see an uptick of consoles being sold when you have to buy a console to play the game. And they can play that game. Nintendo can play that game. Xbox cannot play that game. I made a joke of a tweet today about it, which I'll get to in a second. But PlayStation doesn't need to play the game. But I think a different story is leadership and business leadership at PlayStation has been telling the people like Herman Hulst and SIE that they need to make more money on their games. So it really does point to they're going to need to decide how soon games go to PC, or how many of them, even if they're hybrid games, that come to PC day and date, or very, very soon, because I think the days of a 60 to 80 hour open world game with multiplayer elements is not working. And I think we need to go back to where devs make a 20-hour open world experience. It's really great. If you want to spend 40 hours and do the extra stuff, like grab all the pigeons and backpacks, you can. But this is a 20 to 25 hour juggernaut, amazing game. And that's it. Yeah. What was the thing I was going to say? Oh, I did
most people.
Sorry, I'll say this real quick.
Okay.
My tweet was, it was an AI buff, Phil Spencer. I said, Phil Spencer, if he kept games exclusive to Xbox. And what I absolutely mean, sometimes a really short tweet is more powerful. What I absolutely mean is not put them on PlayStation. I mean, Xbox has always put their games on PC, not just since Quantum Break. Almost every flagship game has been on PC for a long time. So yeah, we talked about Sarah Bond earlier. Like, it's super important to have games that are only available on Xbox Game Pass or on Xboxes. It's super important that you bought this game from us or you're playing it with us, from us. That's so important because I don't know how you grow Game Pass when people go, oh, it's like three some months till indie. I'll just play it where I want. I'll play it on PlayStation. You're going to lose subscribers. You're going to lose console sales. So sorry, Red, you were going to say? If you remember. No?
Oh, I was muted. It was Holly that was going to say something.
Okay. She was throwing your voice.
Oh,
she goes, What?
Yeah, that's what I sound like. I'm like, I'm a man.
Hey, brother.
Hey,
brother.
Yeah.
No, this is what my wife and kids say. I sound like this. I'm like, do I sound like that? I don't sound like that. Go ahead, Holly.
Do you think that they would ever, think about it, right? Like, Helldivers 2 was the top game for forever, and Final Fantasy didn't even break through Helldivers 2. I think it came in second, right in their highest position behind Helldivers 2. So they have a market for the live service games. Very strong as if they can land the plane on any of them. That's the big if, but they'll get there. I'm confident eventually they will get there.
They have to. I mean, what else could they?
How that happens? How that happens though is very much in debate, right? But it's do you think they would ever? And I do agree with you on the whole, gaming on the whole. We don't need more fetch quests, right? We don't need more divide and conquer, like Ubisoft style extra content. It's got a place, but it doesn't need to be in everything. And if it saves time, it's got its place. I do. I think there are certain games where, like if
you want an MMO, it's there for you. You can find that.
Yeah, but there's something so cathartic about. I went back to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which I would say I didn't like it when I first finished it. And then I went back for the DLC and just going around in the world and doing what you do, like clearing out forts, looking for collectibles, and just taking out guards, like doing what you do is so satisfying in some games. And that stuff is not...
It is.
That stuff is like just part of the game design and mechanics. Like, it's not... You're not asking everybody to come in and do all this extra mocap, but somebody was saying we got Red, our good buddy Assassin Entertainment. I'm going to skip down to his other comment. He said, I think he wrote it in the chat. He's like, "Are you okay, Red? Are you having a stroke?" It's funny because Red was like, "Am I rambling?" Okay, first of all, I put him on this show with zero notice, and they're taking the topics as they go. So shout out to That Blue Number and Red Wolf for being here and putting up with my haphazard show and taking topics like as they pour in like champs. I appreciate it. And I ramble all the time. I'm doing it right now in real time, live. So we appreciate the chat for giving us good constructive criticism and whatnot. But Red, you're fired. No, I love Red.
Thank you.
It's funny, like somebody goes, "Are you rambling?" I'm like, bro, he was on fax patrol right then. Like it was amazing.
If I could send you guys a picture of what I could.
Oh,
I
yes,
can't.
yes.
But
is it still doing it?
No, I fixed it. So what I did was I clicked on your screen to full size it, and then I brought it back to where I can see both of you. The entire time that I was trying to keep a conversation, Colt's face was turning green like Willem Dafoe on Spider-Man 2000.
You look like a Concord character.
I had a pixel bit rainbow beard. Yeah, it was literally. It was like pixels this big, and it looked like I was like the diamond pony from Borderlands 2. Yeah, that might. So he sent me a screenshot.
My thought. I'm trying to. I sent them.
And I'm like the magical wizard from Disney.
This is why I'm so distracted right now. Look at what I'm looking at, and Colt's like, "Oh, brother." Yeah. So I'm sorry, I couldn't keep my thoughts together, but yeah, I'm very easily distracted. ADD is a hell of a drug to live with all the time. I
can't even go to the bathroom without being distracted.
I know. Like every time I go to pee, I'm like, I need to take my phone with me.
Sends us a message.
Yeah, exactly. Or accidentally sending a voice
note. You're like, wait, no.
Yeah,
what's happening?
How do I turn this thing off?
Plop.
I'm like, that wasn't me. That was my dog.
That was my dog. He's potty trained. My dog sits on the toilet.
He's sitting on my lap, pooping in between. I got my legs spread wide enough to where I'm on the toilet sitting. He's sitting on the toilet with me.
Is it wide enough for the seat? So I have to put my thighs.
Exactly.
What's the group that takes care of animals that are being abused? ASPCA or whatever.
Sarah McLaughlin group. Yeah.
Yeah, and they bust in and you're sitting with your dog on the toilet. Good boy. There you go. Here's toilet paper's right there. And he's like pawing it.
Oh, got a little bit on there. That's okay.
Is this a pee doggy situation?
It's a freak off. Yeah, all right, this show's canceled. Assassin Entertainment says Red Wolf, when he dreams about reacting to an Xbox showcase, but wakes up and realizes it's PlayStation State of Play instead. Much love, guys. Shout out to Assassin. Grandpa's Barbecue Game Cat sends an Australian $5 super chat and says, just because. That's great support. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Grandpa's Barbecue Game Cat always has a really great, funny super, but just because. Udana Kizada said, thank you for the $5, Udani, and thanks for being here. He said his PC died. He's on his phone now, so he's getting lesser version of the show. He says the only appropriate pose for a picture with Concord as a prop is the soy jack face. Is that the that thing? Is that what that is?
I love how you just were so
I don't know. I think I need to see it a couple more times.
Do it again.
So Brad Ward Fight can clip it. Every time.
Let's do it at the same time. Ready?
Okay. Hold on. Wait, I have to get the live feed up so I can see it.
Okay, ready?
Wait, I got to screenshot it. Do it one more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's in my clipboard. So
okay, there we go.
Let me make sure I put it in. I am so infamous for doing the surprise face because you were on my show, Red, last year when Xbox was going to die.
Oh, yeah.
And I got a text from Jez Corden saying, don't worry, it's not as bad as it sounds. Everything's going to be fine. It's overblown or something like that. And I was like, I did the surprise face, and every toxic turd nugget has been running with it. In fact, there's a YouTuber that uses it on thumbnails all the time. Hey, that screenshot worked. Still today, he used one. Losers. Well, it's all right.
Yeah, people are people just like love to be miserable because they don't know anything outside of their mother's basement, which the window is like this big, and they're like, "Please, Father, may I come outside?" And they're like, "No,
my DoorDash is on my neighbor's doorstep."
No,
but there's no way I can get it, even though the front door is unlocked and the sun is shining, which will burn me.
Hold on, I'll get it. Hold on, I gotta get my DoorDash. The electric chair. Up the stairs. Okay. Jonas the dad.
Grab the pepper spray.
Mom, turn on the ramp.
What's that?
Mom, I need the grapple hook.
Turn on the ramp so I can get upstairs.
I gotta turn on the power switch.
Ah!
I blew the breaker, honey. Mom, I didn't save my game. Hold on, Frank Silva. I told you, Frank
Anyway.
Silver, I'm not using the ramp. Jonas the Dad,
Love
your
it.
good friend, says, thank you for the $2 super
different
chat,
Jonas.
He says, total games you played this year, how much if added up? Look at Jonas trying to bring this gaming podcast back to gaming.
Look at that.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Total
me,
games
Jonas.
you played this
Help
year.
me.
I'll go first. I mean, maybe 20, 25. How many did I finish? This has been a bad year. Maybe 10. I replayed some games that were better than the stuff I played this year. Dragon's Dogma 2 being my highlight so far this year. What about you, Holly?
bro.
How many games do you play? How many did you finish?
Oh man, I played a lot, but finished not a lot. That's the problem. It's the beauty and the problem of Game Pass, right? So you could try a lot of games and know if you want to buy them or not, but
Play
it
them.
also, yes, and it also lets me just bounce out of them very quickly too, and not commit because I'm like, sham it, I spent how much on this game? But I've
my
probably
gosh, like
finished.
you and I with Dead Rising Remaster, we thought we were going to love it to death. And then I'm like, I don't want to
very
say. I don't want to say. And I wake up in the morning, you're like,
Yes,
I don't want to say. What'd you say? You didn't want to say
I'm
it.
very upset about that. I said, I'm not having fun yet. And you were like, I gave up last night. It's like, I was like glad it wasn't just me, but also severely depressed that this is where we're at.
I thought that game was going to be like my 3 weeks of absolute joy.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I know people probably played the original, but it looks great and it feels. I just don't like everyone's dying. You're not
game
supposed to
loop.
stop and kill or look around because every time you walk through a hallway, you lose a half an hour of time. The clock goes
Right.
forward.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking
I
about,
remember, Oh yeah, I mean, I played it back in the day, man. Like it was like revolutionary. Like so many enemies on screen, and like you could interact with everything, which is something that at the time I could only experience with like Elder Scrolls Morrowind or like Oblivion.
That's still good there. Yeah,
yeah, like because everything was just interact. You could like touch everything and mess with stuff, and like it was just
put on the Lego head.
Put on the Lego head, yeah, like and I feel like the setting really wasn't like the thing that sold the game. It was just the features within it. Like they were pushing things that other games outside of the genre of Dead Rising were doing really, really well. And then Capcom was like, "Hey, stop, we got you." And then they started doing their their thing with Dead Rising and yeah. But again, like it did add some intensity with the time limit, but I think they were really pushing for like replayability with their 75 different endings or whatever.
Oh, geez.
I'm just being hyperbolic. Obviously, that's not how many, but it was something to like. Honestly, I feel like Dead Rising 1 was such a huge deal back in the day because there weren't a whole lot of games that were pushing anything new, and so people were replaying games so much. Like people weren't just beating Dead Rising 1 and then just being done with it. They were beating it and then playing it again and beating it and playing it again. So yeah, I don't know. So it's sad to hear that you guys hate Dead Rising with everything
it's the
within your soul.
mechanics. That's the sad part. It just doesn't like I'm literally swinging the box, the bat, whatever it is that I have, and they're just grabbing me in mid swing, and then like I'll be standing and it'll be right there, and I'll be swinging and it'll totally whiff like 8 times, and I'm like, seriously, like,
Right.
You have 4 health bars in the
no-
beginning, and you'll be swinging, hitting zombies, and if they can grab you while you're like, and it doesn't even hit them, and then they grab you and they knock you down and take a health bar away, and then they have a chance to just grab you and it's an instant kill, and then you start over before I grabbed all the cool dresses and hats that he's wearing.
yeah.
You and I are big fans of 4, which is not everyone's favorite.
It's
4 is
best
so
one.
fantastic, and I was like hoping.
so good.
Yeah, I almost want to go back and play 4 for the fourth time.
No,
You'd think that they would give you more options.
to get that.
Like based on what people loved in the sequels. Like you see that a lot with like remakes, and I don't know.
Well, they did.
I just wish that they had taken the better mechanics from like a 4 and put them into 1. Like the mechanics were not updated well.
Did they not remove? Did they not remove the time thing? I thought that was a thing. Did they like?
No, it's there.
72 hours. 72
it's
hours.
72 hours, and it's like go to the B wing in the mall, and as soon as you go through the door, you have a short loading screen, and 30 minutes off of your time is passed. And so I'm like,
right,
okay.
And you're like, oh god,
it's like go back and report to Frank, or you're Frank. Go back and report to Janice. Yeah. She's like, put the rank down, and yeah. I don't know.
Right.
I spent an hour and a half trying to get down the hall to the security room through a sea of zombies. I had to do it like 4 or 5 times, and then I get there, and the freaking door is welded shut. And then I'm just like, "Are you serious?" I had to realize I had to go back all the way through the mall, and I died like many times, and I just said, "Forget it." And then every 5
seconds, it's like
that I picked up,
Joe has died. Janice has died.
Yes.
I'm like, who? I've never even found these people that I'm supposed to rescue.
Right.
Sorry.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
Will Brokeboy Lewis, thank you for the 2, says PS gonna pull a Nintendo and patent over the shoulder. Oh boy, they would. Nintendo tried to patent the word. What was the word they tried to patent? It was like gameplay or something. What was it? It was such a joke like 3 years ago. PlayStation tried to patent some word word. What was it? I don't remember. It was some like regular game word that you use when you're gaming. It was so ridiculous. I don't remember what it was.
What were they talking about? Like they patented something like the resuming of a game in a main menu after you've come back to it or something like that. But they haven't come after people for that patent.
Did they really?
We're talking about Nintendo. You know what I mean? Like they hold things in their back pocket until it really makes money, and they're like, oh, nope.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Got your ass.
It's just it's like Nintendo is so cool, but then they're so not all in the same. Like they're just they've just been around longest. That's how they have all of this stuff, and they've been able to patent. And that, like when WB patented the Nemesis system, right, everybody got really upset, and I was like, okay, well, I kind of get it. They kind of came up with that themselves. It's a really cool mechanic, like I understand why they took that. But then when you see it pulled to the extreme, like Nintendo has the arsenal of, then every game has so many of these things that how do they pick and choose?
That's what RGT was saying on the show at the very beginning. He's like, don't do this. Like, our favorite games are made up of amalgamation of our favorite things. And I know that Red would be thinking, Red probably, you and I are like, why can't someone just take everything we love about Mass Effect trilogy? And I say this a lot, like, I love Fallout 3 in New Vegas, like the way that, or even Fallout 4. I love that. Just make a game that copies that feel and the mechanics and the way you are in the world, and but make a game in a different location or a different genre. I don't know how to explain it. Or I love Borderlands. I love the way you have that millions of guns. Like, why can't another studio say, we want to make something that feels like Borderlands, but doesn't totally rip it off? And then I would play it. I don't mind rip-offs. Like, it's not my game, but we're just consumers. One more. We got from Assassin.
It was Let's Play. It's Let's Play.
Did you look it up?
No, the chat.
Thank you, chat. You guys are all amazing. Thank you, Alex LaRoque. I hope I said that right. That's a very cool name.
Let's Play. Oh, right. Yeah, because I remember that being a thing with
literally everybody uses Let's Play for their YouTube.
Right. Well, if you remember, like Rooster Teeth went through that whole thing years ago because they had that they were doing the Let's Play
series.
They were probably who coined that phrase too.
And then Nintendo's like, "Got your ass."
The funny thing that's so funny with Let's Play, and then Xbox is famous for the jump in, and PlayStation like 3 years ago put out like a ad on Twitter, and they said like jump in, and who was it? Somebody in our community, Brad Sams or someone, called them out and sent it to Greenberg, and there was a nice phone call that happened, and PlayStation had to yank their marketing chunk there for that. But we got Assassin Entertainment, who's got a $5 super chat in the chat. No camera, but still handsome and amazing. He says, PC players waited 3 years for KH to launch on Steam from Epic. KH. Kanglehoodle. KH. If there was one game publisher that won't win against PC gamers. What?
King of the Hill.
Yeah. Bobby? I sell propane and propane. I'm about to get a ball blast. I'm about to. What's KH? KH. Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts, I bet. It's
oh, yeah.
He says
yeah.
PC players waited 3 years for Kingdom. There is a character limit on supers. Stop it, Google. Stop that. PC players waited 3 years for Kingdom Hearts to launch on Steam from Epic. If there was one game publisher won't win against PC gamers, it's the waiting game. Yes, I know. Kingdom Hearts. I'll never play it. But Alvin with the $2 says, what if Vector Man copyrighted the grapple hook? Was Vector Man for Mega Man? Probably. Yeah. Grapple hook's been in every great game. Every great game has just got a message from Red Wolf. Yeah. That's it, guys. I'm done. I'm tired. And it's been a good show. Kingdom Hearts. Thank you, Assassin. He's gone. And Red sent me a message, said, I must go somewhere for a moment and accidentally record it with my phone. Holly, thank you for being on the show and hanging out with us and dealing with that guy. Where will you be and what will you play and how will you make your way to the promised land? Tell everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, chat. Thanks for putting up with me, and thanks, Colt, for asking me on. As always, it's very much appreciated. I always love talking to you guys. I am that blue number everywhere. Tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Central, we will be going live. Probably a little bit early, maybe, because that's also when the State of Play starts. Very conveniently lined up for us. We talked to Sony and asked them to do that for us, and they said yes.
Yep.
So we'll be doing that, and then on Friday night, the Infinite Podcast is back at 7 p.m. Central on YouTube on Risk It for the Biscuits channel. So thank you.
Thank you for being here. And you can follow that blue number on Twitter and wherever else she shows up in her fame and fortune and wonder. But yeah, that's there. Biffernaldi says, did you wash your hands, Red? And I say, no, why should he? He's on a podcast. He doesn't have to shake anybody's hands. He doesn't have to. No, he's a germ freak. He washed his hands and probably brushed his teeth while he was gone, right, Holly?
And bathed in hand sanitizer.
Yeah, I am like, so I have to use lotion all the time because I wash my hands like, it's crazy. And it's a rabbit hole. We're not going there. Yes, I'm very clean. I'm a very clean person. Okay. But yes, I washed everything.
What are you going to be playing? What videos are you working on? They already she already gave the plug for Renegade Realm podcast.
Yeah.
So what are you working on? And what are you playing?
Yeah, man. Yeah, like Holly said, you can find me at Red Wolf Renegade. Thank you so much, Yadani. So nice, man. And I see Assassin and Yadani going back and forth about me. And all those things are true.
Hold on. The other night, the three of us were talking. We had to tell Red what Yodani is like in real life because we met him in LA at the showcase. And he's like, what's Yodani like? Is he crazy? Is he loud? He's like, no, he's like, nice to meet you guys. All right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Like him
Yeah.
and Sean the Brie, they've never gone above 12 decibels. It's great. Super
And what did I
nice.
say? I said, I can't wait to pick him up and swing him around type hug. Just like, oh man, because that's how I
Like
am.
swing
That
him
kind
around
of
so
person.
fast his pants fly off.
It's literally just hits Phil Spencer in the head, and he's like, "Oh, exclusive games. That's what works. That's what works. That's what works."
feel like it's a Sound of Music moment.
Yeah.
Feels like if you're an Xbox customer, if you're an Xbox customer, well, one thing I want you to know, these games will be exclusive. Sean LeBrie says, "I'm loud. I'm so loud though." No,
That's
it's not.
fine. Look, it's good to be loud and proud. I mean, and I don't
wear pants.
It's great. It's great. Listen, I'm wearing Garfield pajamas right now, and I don't even read Garfield. Okay.
Hey, you want to see me make $5 on my OnlyFans?
Yes.
What? All right, there we go.
Here we go. Look.
Nice.
There you go.
Red and I have a screenshot of me putting my
There you
foot up and you're laughing. That's classic.
And that is a classic. Yeah, that is great.
You're working on a new video. You were talking to me. You're
Yeah.
going to work on it tomorrow or whatever. But what is it? Tell people
Yeah,
so they can get hyped.
So, as everyone knows, like I'm RPGs are my bread and butter. I love RPGs and built my channel on Bethesda games, Starfield. But there is one game that completely just like took over my whole world, which is Stalker. I played through the entire Stalker trilogy. As janky as it was, I did it, and it was amazing. And then I went and played the Stalker Anomaly mod, which is essentially its own game. So I just became a huge Stalker fan, and so I was still jonesing on the Stalker feel. So I found a game called Chernobylite, which released in 2021 on PC. Then it finally came to console in 2022. It was a kickstarted game by a Polish developer, Farm 51, who made a game called Get Even, if you remember that. So they're very small. They had a goal of $100,000, and they had 3,005 backers. They hit a goal of 209,000, and they put out this game. The reason that the game was so essentially the developers wanted to take 3D shots of the actual exclusion zone in Chernobyl in real life. So they wanted to get everything right, just the same way that Stalker was done right with the pictures and whatnot. So this game Chernobylite is like a love letter to Stalker by a very small team. So I'm making a review video on Chernobylite, and it's so good. It's so good. It's not perfect, but it does. If you love Stalker and you love that slow pace, slow burn, really methodical mill sim, it's a little bit more like cosmic or magic. I don't know. That's a terrible word for it. Stalker is very grounded. Chernobylite has a little more like science magic to it, but whatever. Anyway, that's what I'm working on. Yeah, like I don't know how to describe it. Like we're talking about like science, using science to create portals and whatnot. Stalker doesn't do any of that. Stalker is just like very grounded in science and all the Tom Cruise stuff that we love. So anyway, so that's what I'm working on is a review for that, because I want to get my review pants on. And I'm also working on a Dragon Age Inquisition 2024 review, amongst all the other things that are happening. And Konami emailed me back.
Dragon Age Inquisition in 2024, something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And spoiler,
or I can't believe this happened
in 2024, and I'm like,
they really did it, or
they did it.
What
hey,
were they thinking?
God, West Nemo.
What?
Shout out to West Nemo. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Anyway,
so yeah, that's what I'm doing. And go ahead.
So sorry. Finish your thing.
I was just gonna say shout out to West Nemo for being the most click. No. Yeah. So I'm working on that, and then I'm also the Starfield stuff that's coming out. I tried to get a review code for Silent Hill, and Konami emailed me back very nicely and said, "Hey, go F yourself." And I said, "Okay, I will." So I did, and here I am. And so, yeah. So, but hey, tomorrow night we have the podcast, Renegade Realm podcast, every Tuesday that you can follow us there. Holly and I, we're together there as a panel members. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, Colt, help me.
Wait, I have one more thing.
Oh, sorry.
I have one more thing. Well, Colt doesn't even know this yet.
Oh.
We
well,
are.
I know everything.
If you remember.
Is that Assassin? Oh, that's
wait. Hold on. Let me get the live thing up. Hold on. Okay, go ahead. Hey, is that a Cadbury egg?
This is not one that we are doing. So this is just to show people that
Gimme.
There was a very special giveaway.
Put it over here. Over here. Okay.
The live feed is.
Okay.
You gotta
hold it right there. Just hold it right there, and we'll wait.
Let's see. I need it to focus.
There you go.
Squint real hard, and
it hurts my eyes. Okay, no, we can tell it's not. It's
anyway,
never gonna focus that close, but
there you go. Oh, there it goes.
Bro, wait, go back. Yes, right there.
Oh, there it is.
Don't move.
There it is.
Don't move. No, and you moved.
Damn
and
it.
you didn't. Good.
It sees your eye. It sees your eye.
Carefully.
Do you see?
It's the same color as your eyes.
You need to color your eye, Holly, because your eye is blue.
It's the same.
Oh, there we go. Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
It looks like a doubloon, doesn't it?
I love that for us.
Like,
wait, so
cool.
what do you mean? What do you mean we aren't doing this? What's going on?
These were made for Gamescom, and they were only given away at Gamescom from Sea of Thieves. But it's so cool. They were giving them away at the Sea of Thieves booth in Germany. They gave all of them away very quickly, but just thought people would like to see those. But if you like this one, the surprise news is that we have 2 more coin sets that are going to be coming out for 2 games that are coming out this fall. And one of those will be Call of Duty. That will be the next that you'll see. And the Call of Duty, we're doing something very unique and special because it's Call of Duty. And Call of Duty will be 3 different designs, only 50 made of each. And they will be randomly one per person during giveaways, and they will be randomly chosen, but there'll be 3 different designs for Call of Duty, which is pretty cool. I really like that idea.
Focus, you bastard. Focus.
You bastard.
You bastards. Why won't you focus? Oh,
yeah.
You gotta do this, and then it'll see your hand, and then everything. Yep.
So I flip people off. Wait, who did I say I was gonna? Oh, I said I fought soft Moz in the chat.
My arm's tired.
Yeah.
Put your other hand up. Like put your right hand up. There you go.
Put your right hand in and put your right hand out.
Remember on Night at the Roxbury when they're in the car?
Yes, that's literally what I was like.
Yes.
That's literally what I was doing.
That movie's so good.
He bangs his head against.
The coins are awesome. Guys, thanks so much for being here. This is the XNC Podcast, an unorthodox show where we just went for it. But thank you everybody for showing up, and hit the like button on the way out. When the video is done, it'll be on demand, and I've already got timestamps. I'm actually doing them during the show. Appreciate. What else do I need to tell you? Check out my video about the console generation disaster. I recorded 50 plus minutes of commentary. Just got in front of the camera with a bullet point list right here, and I just talked about everything. And I'm so proud of this video. It's 18 minutes of really easy to watch stuff that just makes you feel gooey inside. Thank you, everybody, and thank you That Blue Number and Red Wolf for being here. And I can't wait to watch your show tomorrow, your podcast. Renegade Rail Podcast. And that's it. I love you guys. You're amazing. Shout out to you, Donnie Kazan and Happy Bomb, for holding down the chat, keeping it clean, keeping it real, and keeping it Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, and Ouya Gaming. I'm grateful. I'm a grateful person. You guys are amazing. Thank you for being here. All of you. Even the panel members are amazing. I've said enough. I'm going to go hit the button. Wait, I got to make sure nothing's come through. We're good. I don't want to miss a super. You guys are fantastic. Where's the outro? It's right here. Bye, guys. See you. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye. Send foot pics. All right. Bye.